Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Age of Gods. I log into the reincarnation space in the Gods domain. Chapter 61. It's over. That monster Thor was defeated just like that. Hulk said in disbelief. The Hulk in his body seemed to be a little cautious about Thor, the god of thunder. His anger level when facing Thor was not as high as that towards others. 2 moves. Just 2 moves. Captain America was a little skeptical about life. To be precise, 1 move can win, but God just likes to play. Natasha knows Yi Tian's character best. He doesn't like to play. Hey, you already know the ability of the creator. He is a god with real power. Tony was killed and resurrected by Yi Tian. That is the power of resurrection. Once again, it proves that God is on the side of us humans. Director Lu Dan was complacent. Humans have one more trump card, although it is different from the trump card of Captain Marvel. The relationship between Yi Tian and humans is that of superiors and subordinates. Captain Marvel is just an employee, and she can fight to the death with just a little trick. But Yi Tian is different. Humans need him, and the human leaders are very humble to him. It's not that they are pious, but they don't want to go to hell after death, they want to go to heaven. It would be even better if they could live forever. Natasha has become much younger recently. Not only is her physique stronger, but she also has a kind of divinity that can only be admired from a distance and not blasphemed. Natasha was very surprised by this, thinking it was a gift from Yi Tian, but it was not. She just naturally got Yi Tian's divinity. I lost. What kind of artifact is this? Thor was a little discouraged. He was the first warrior of Asgard, but he was caught by his father's strongest artifact with his bare hands. Then he was killed by a chain from someone else, instantly killed, without any room for maneuver. Don't be discouraged. Even if your father comes, you can't escape this chain. Yi Tian said lightly. Respected creator, this is the heaven's chain in mythology. At this time, the spiritual shadow of the god King Odin appeared in front of Yi Tian. Of course, people around could not see Odin, only Yi Tian could see him. Shed appeared. Yi Tian said leisurely, having discovered Odin a long time ago. Your Excellency the Creator knows us very well. Odin sighed. In our God realm universe, you are as transparent as white paper. Of course, it depends on how much the Creator grows. A grown creator can create a multiverse with just one thought. Yi Tian said with a little yearning. Create redundant universes. Odin's pupils shrank. Having lived for so long, he naturally saw that Yi Tian was not lying. The Creator's power is indeed beyond imagination, but it is reasonable. Because it is the Creator. Even a young creator is so terrible. Quote. Odin looked deeply at Yi Tian and his heavenly chains, feeling slightly bitter. I wonder what purpose the Creator has in coming to this world. Asgard is willing to fully cooperate. Odin asked. The purpose, I said it before, variables and assessments. After a pause, Yi Tian said, you have actually seen the variables. Loki's men. Odin also knew about those reincarnations a long time ago, but felt that they were not powerful enough, and the reincarnations could not reveal their identities. Mind control will only make the reincarnations explode and die. They are indeed variables, and they should not exist in this world. Although their identities are fine, their past and future cannot be seen. At this time, in the void, Master Ancient One appeared, and the moment she appeared, the environment of heaven and earth was changed. Oh, there is such a thing. Quote, Odin originally looked down on the reincarnationists, treating them as little mice in the gutter that could be killed with a flip of the hand. But he didn't expect that they were so weird. Even he and Master Ancient One didn't know that Yi Tian was also a reincarnationist, just a cheating player among the reincarnationists. Even those reincarnationists were used as capital to deceive people by Yi Tian, and sold out completely. I don't know what expressions those reincarnationists would have when they knew about this. You underestimated them. In fact, there are existences that are no less powerful than you among the variables, but they dare not easily descend on your world due to the rules of the universe. At the same time, among these variables, the real gods and gods created by other creators cannot be easily judged as chaos or order. Quote. Yi Tian said calmly. What? At this moment, Master Ji Yi and Odin's faces could no longer remain calm. Originally, they thought that no matter how powerful the variables were, they could solve them. When they left, The heirs had grown up after experiencing the battle with Thanos and were not afraid of them. But if there were still such powerful beings among the variables, they were a little afraid to die. And this was exactly Yi Tian's purpose. It would be a pity for strong men like Master Ji Yuyi and Odin to die, so it would be better to make good use of them. Although it is impossible to make them surrender, and they would not be willing, but the impure world reincarnation can be used. Your Majesty the Creator, can't you solve the variables? Asked the Master Ji Yu. I can't stay in this universe all the time, and your Creator ignores you, why should I help you? Yi Tian said calmly. Your Majesty the Creator is right, then you told us so much, I guess there must be a way, if there is anything you need from us, just tell us. Odin is an old fox, he guessed that Yi Tian must have something to ask for, otherwise he would not talk nonsense with them. Leave the blood and soul marks, and we can temporarily revive you to protect the earth when we need you in the future. Of course, you can refuse. Yi Tian said casually. Odin was silent after hearing this. When he was hesitating, Master Ji Yuyi nodded. Okay, Odin was puzzled. Why did Master Ji Yuyi, who wanted to die the most, nod earlier than him? After the Creator grows up, it is just a matter of thought to revive us. Master Ji Yuyi smiled bitterly. After the Creator is fully developed, he can create the multiverse with one thought. Is it difficult to revive them? Besides, Yi Tian can revive them now with blood and soul marks. It is estimated that these will not be needed soon. It is a matter of time. The old man also agreed. Quote, after being reminded by Ancient One, Odin decisively agreed. Rather than being forcibly resurrected by Yi Tian in the future, it would be better for him to agree, and he could also gain some benefits. Yi Tian smiled in his heart, and succeeded in getting something for nothing again, and it was Odin and Ancient One who fell into the trap and took the initiative. Ding. Hidden task completion. 90%. Evaluation, SS. As the completion SS. Odin and Ancient One are indeed the key. The next step is the final touch. Yi Tian looked at the battleship in the air, and Loki should take action. Boom. Just as Yi Tian was watching, a huge explosion sounded from the battleship in the air. It seems that Loki is going to escape. Yi Tian said leisurely. The Creator can indeed see the future. Master Ji Yuyi had previously guessed that Yi Tian could foresee the future, and everything he did was fully prepared, and now it is confirmed. You are not bad either, the time gem, right? Interesting. Yi Tian looked at the eye of Agamotto hanging on Master Ji Yuyi and shouted in his heart. Use the special item copy card. Use the SSS level item successfully. Get, time gem, current grade, king grade, god king grade. God King grade is the Emperor's weapon of Xuanwan Emperor. With the infinite power of the Infinity Gem, it seems a little bit worse. Yi Tian frowned slightly. This gambling dog card is indeed unstable. But think about it, with a top-level Emperor weapon in hand, you can basically run rampant in the early stage after entering the Zetian copy, as long as you don't provoke those taboo supremes. And it can be upgraded. I remember that the Void Emperor has a Void Mirror in his hand, which is also an Imperial weapon close to the Immortal weapon. If you can get it, you may be able to gather the power of time and space to upgrade it. What's wrong? Master Ji Yuyi saw Yi Tian staring at the time gem with regret and then became cheerful again, and suddenly he was a little confused. Nothing. I also created the time gem, but the quality is still inferior to the creator of your universe. Speaking, Yi Tian took out his own time gem from the prop column very calmly. Death. The Ancient One and Odin had such good eyesight that they could tell it was the real time stone at first glance. The power contained in it was still infinite, because time has no end. If Yi Tian hadn't said that his time stone was not as good as the one in the Marvel Universe, they would have thought it was the same one. It's exactly the same, but the time energy it emits is inferior to the time stone on me. But outsiders can't tell the difference at all. Even if it is on the unlimited glove, it can replace the time stone, exclaimed the Ancient One. At this moment, she believed Yi Tian's identity 100%, and so did Odin. Although they believed it before, they all had a little doubt in their hearts. It was nothing but the suspicion of the superiors. But the moment Yi Tian took out the time stone, they no longer doubted Yi Tian. The Infinity Stones of the Marvel Cinematic Universe were born with the universe. They had always thought so before, but it seems that they were obviously created by the Creator. They were left to them by the Creator, and it is very likely a test for them. No wonder the Creator of their universe did not show up. He has left them the power to change the universe. This is the meaning of the existence of the Infinity Stones, a test to see what the person who gets the Infinity Stones will do. If you pass the test, maybe the Creator will show up again. But so many years have passed, and no one has completed his test. Ding. Complete the unique achievement task. Conquer Odin and Ancient Mage. Ding. Get special rewards. Godhead of God King Odin, Supreme Mage Seal, Reward Fusion. Ding. Get the Supreme God of Law, God Emperor level. Godhead. Yi Tian was shocked. This thing is equivalent to a pass for gods. If comprehending the law means gaining the power that only gods have, then gaining the godhood is equivalent to stepping into the realm of gods. As long as you don't die, you will definitely become a god. Fusion of the godhood of the emperor. As long as Yi Tian doesn't die, he will become a god in the future, and even the breakthrough resources of the god realm can be saved. Interesting. I can get such a reward by convincing these two big guys at the same time, and the value of the reward exceeds their own power. Although the reward is generous, Yi Tian didn't think it was unreasonable, because this is the Marvel Universe. The godhood of the Emperor has not reached the limit of this universe, even the movie universe. Maybe there are still points in the movie universe copy that I have overlooked. Yi Tian felt that such a reward suddenly came, proving that there must be hidden tasks in the movie universe. But this mission has been very successful so far, and he has no intention of exploring it again. Your Majesty, when do you plan to take action? Master Ji Yuyi reminded at this time. Because just now, Hawkeye and 8 reincarnations came to rescue Loki, and Loki escaped easily, and the Mind Scepter was also recaptured by Loki, while the Hulk lost control, wreaked havoc in the battleship, and was chasing Black Widow. Although Natasha has now obtained divinity, it is still far from defeating the Hulk. On Earth, except for her and Odin, other people, such as Thor, can suppress the runaway Hulk. Natasha has my power, she will be fine. As for when I will take action, Lee's. Single quote. After a pause, Yi Tian said, it is when the variables come, such as, now. As he said, Yi Tian's eyes drifted to the top of the Stark building. Just at this time, the sky thundered and flashed, the power of the space gem rushed into the sky, and the silver light column flashing with electric sparks opened a door to the void. The Chidori army arrived. The huge alien monsters and countless Chidori troops that are somewhat similar to the aliens, riding on miniature warships like flying motorcycles, launched an attack on New City. There is a group of special mutants in S.H.I.E.L.D. that even Director Lu Dan doesn't know about. They are well prepared and fly into the sky to fight the Chidori. The decisive battle is about to begin. It's time to harvest points. Kill all the people on Earth. The Void Tunnel, the reincarnations whose race has become Chidori controlled advanced alien weapons and continuously attacked the city. At the same time, the war beasts raised by the Chidori destroyed skyscrapers one after another. Boom boom boom. I can't hit them at all. The skin of those beasts is so hard that missiles can only damage the surface. The reincarnations lurking in S.H.I.E.L.D. attacked the reincarnations and beasts on the Chidori side, but they fell into a disadvantage as soon as the fight started. Why haven't the people of the Chi-Shell Legion taken action yet? Don't they have a grudge against the Justice Legion? Those guys in the Justice Legion are so disgusting. They actually chose the alien side and pretended to be righteous in the reincarnation space. The battle was lost, and reincarnations fell on the battlefield from time to time, and the reincarnations on the Earth side were obviously at a disadvantage. Because the reincarnations scattered around the world could not rush to New City in the first time, and many of them did it on purpose. Captain, there is a problem. Why are there so few reincarnations on the Earth side? In a certain base of S.H.I.E.L.D., the black-robed swordsman found something wrong. The Justice Legion is really a jerk. They must have bribed a large number of individual players and used them to fill the dungeon. Princess Kai Yan gritted her teeth and said, there is no strict limit on the number of reincarnations in the reincarnation dungeon, but when it exceeds a certain number, the next dungeon will be opened. Unless there is a situation like Yi Tian brought out Tsunade, turn the dungeon into a free world map. Otherwise, the number of reincarnations that can appear in each dungeon at the same time is limited. But Princess Kai Yan didn't expect that the people of the Justice Legion were so insidious and actually bribed so many reincarnations. The price must be not cheap. Those cheap bones, wasting a copy opportunity for a few points. It's ridiculous that they don't know that the superheroes of the Avengers will definitely win. Princess Qian is full of contempt for those reincarnations who give up the main line of the copy and choose to hide their points, but there is nothing she can do at this moment. The Avengers will definitely win. This is the conclusion that the Shao Corps came to after Liuxia shared intelligence. But if they don't attack again, all of them may die. Call all the secret lines of the Qi Shao Corps and counterattack across the board. After saying that, Princess Qian pulled out a 40-meter flaming sword from the void. Boom! A ray of fire rushed into the sky from the base, instantly destroying a miniature fleet of Chidori. Soul-eating demon ceiling slash. The elegant and easy-going black-robed swordsman also performed 2 moves, transformed into a mad swordsman, and performed the bloodthirsty sword skills from a certain online game copy, sucking the passing Chidori beast in the sky, and then slashing it with one knife. Hey, is this the variable? Why do our teammates here feel much better than us? BCDG. Iron Man Tony had just dealt with a few Chidori who wanted to hunt him when he saw this scene. Among the A-level and S-level reincarnations, only the Hulk and Thor can compare with them in terms of performance among the Avengers. It's a bit exaggerated. Tony, don't think too much, just fight first. Quote, Director Liu Dan shouted. At this time, Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, Hawkeye who had regained his sanity and others began to fight back against the Chidori army. The Avengers have begun to fight back. Black Widow drove an advanced fighter jet and exchanged fire with the Chidori. With her strong physique and technology, she easily suppressed a large number of enemies. The Avengers were able to go out thanks to Yi Tian and Natasha. Hawkeye was able to regain his sanity thanks to Yi Tian's advice, which was to make his brain blank. Of course, if Natasha had not been touched by divine power now, it would be more likely that Hawkeye would be beaten into a vegetable. As for the Hulk, Natasha did not convince him, but when she mentioned Yi Tian's name, the Hulk immediately obeyed. Yi Tian hadn't thought of this. It seems that the Hulk in Hulk's body is very afraid of me. Later, Hulk was unable to transform because he was afraid of Thanos. This violent green fat man is not a creature without complete intelligence, but his power comes from anger, and he can't always stay calm. The green fat man's intuition is more accurate than that of wild beasts. He predicted that Yi Tian could kill him. This green fat man has good potential and can be cultivated as a race in the god realm. Yi Tian watched the Hulk killing all around an invincible in the void, and immediately had an idea. For a normal race in the god realm to give birth to a life like Hulk, at least a true god or a god king is possible, but the reincarnation can fuse the blood of the reincarnation space. As long as I can create a large amount of Hulk blood and then transfer it to the reincarnation gods under my command, I can create a Hulk army. Yi Tian grinned, feeling that this trip was worthwhile and he had gained another thing. At this time, the Hulk, who was fighting, had no idea that he was being targeted. Roar, roar, Hulk is very angry, die for Hulk. Hulk grabbed a powerful A-level reincarnationist, and then turned him into a chicken torn apart by hand under the shocked electric light of the reincarnationist. Well done, big guy. The black-robed swordsman was overjoyed when he saw this. He didn't expect that such a strong enemy was killed by the Hulk in one go. He was a little nervous in his heart. If he was caught by the Hulk, he would also be killed instantly. Humph, look at me, Thor's hammer. Boom 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 boom. Thor was unwilling to fall behind. He was so angry that he was killed instantly by Yi Tian just now. Now it's time to make these Chidori pay the price. With the blessing of anger, Thor directly exerted the combat power of S++ and blasted an S-level reincarnationist with angel blood into scum. As the strongest warrior in the god realm and the heir of the god king, even ordinary angels can't beat Thor, let alone the S-level reincarnationist who relies on angel blood to bully others. Why are the natives of this world so fierce? They are not even reincarnations, why are they so strong? The A-level reincarnation here was torn apart by Hulk. That Thor is too strong, the intelligence is wrong, he actually killed a new S-level reincarnation of our Justice League. This time we only have 3 S-level reincarnations. With the joining of the Avengers, the reincarnations on the Earth side began to fight back, and they were about to suppress the Chidori army. Haha, it seems that we can really win this time. The Princess of Red Flame laughed at the 2S-level reincarnations of the Justice League on the opposite side in the sky. The intelligence was seriously wrong. Quote, the two reincarnations, a man and a woman, confronted her in the form of an angel and a fallen angel respectively. Originally, with 3 against 1 and buying off the scattered people, the Justice Legion had an absolute advantage. Unexpectedly, the problem lies in the indigenous forces. Although the Chitauri are not very strong in the universe, they are not comparable to the people on Earth. Unless they use mushroom bombs, but they have ways to deal with mushroom bombs, not to mention that there is a big boss behind the Chitauri, that is, the universe overlord. They originally thought that they would win in terms of strength and background, but they didn't expect that the natives of the Earth would stun the Chitauri. If the Chitauri were not outnumbered, they would have been defeated long ago. The Hulk and Thor, these two monsters, are not defeated by the Chitauri army. Is the Chitauri army so weak? Then what are you waiting for? Prepare the things at the beginning. Loki came to the top floor of the Stark building, looking at the terrible situation, and cursed at the 2S-level reincarnations. Yes, Your Majesty Loki. Quote, the 2S-level reincarnations, 1 man and 1 woman, took out a card with a distressed look under Loki's order. The card was printed with a sealed 3-headed dragon. Yi Tian raised his eyebrows in the void. The monster sealed in this card was a god-demon level. Your Majesty, what kind of monster is sealed in that card? Odin and Ancient Mage both sensed the power in the card. Although the things sealed in the card were not enough to threaten them, the aura was extremely evil, and the monster in the card was not the real monster but just a clone. The power of the card itself might be stronger than them. Pray, quote, Yi Tian said lightly, he had used the system to see the origin of this card. Pray, Odin's mouth twitched slightly, should we say that he is worthy of being the creator? The 2S-level reincarnations of the Justice Legion released the power of the card. In an instant, the extremely evil power exploded and shook the entire sky. The windows of countless skyscrapers were broken and even the walls were cracked. What kind of power is this? Iron Man, Captain America, Thor and other superheroes felt palpitations. And the Hulk was suddenly frightened and ran around, as if he was running away. He was afraid of this power and completely lost control. What kind of monster is this? The Princess of Red Flame and other reincarnations on the Earth side were stunned. With such a terrifying aura, they were too willing to invest in this Legion battle. Haha, Lord Long is out, you are dead. This is the dungeon where our leader once died, and he got the reward after surviving a near-death experience. The 2S-level reincarnationists of the Justice Legion laughed triumphantly. As important members and backbones of the Legion, they knew some secrets more or less. The Justice Legion was once the 10th-ranked Legion in the reincarnation space, now no. 15. Number 10 is the Holy 10th Legion, and the leader of the Justice Legion was once an SSS-level reincarnationist in the first echelon of the reincarnation space. But because he died in an unknown dungeon, his strength dropped significantly, and he has not recovered yet. That dungeon is extremely terrifying, and the leaders of the top 10 legions in the reincarnation space dare not set foot in that dungeon. And this card is part of the power he gained when he forcibly sealed a certain demon king during the bloody battle in that dungeon. Invincible power. If it weren't for them, the Justice Legion triggered the SSS level main mission, so they were reluctant to use it. And their SSS level main mission is to help Thanos realize his ideal. Of course, the Justice Legion did not know that Thanos' ideal was to destroy half of the creatures in the universe, but thought that Thanos wanted to dominate the universe. If they knew, it is estimated that the Justice Legion would not necessarily help Thanos, because after Thanos snapped his fingers, half of the reincarnations were randomly destroyed. This kind of destruction is annihilation, and the difficulty of resurrection in the reincarnation space is second only to the destruction of the body and soul. Of course, if all members of the Justice Legion are European emperors, there will be no loss. Is this possible? Obviously not. You are so desperate, it is obvious that you have triggered an extraordinary mission. Princess Qian is an old reincarnation after all, and she guessed the truth at the first time. What if it is, anyway? You will die today, even if you are resurrected, you will not remember what happened today, and everyone in this city will die. The S-level male angel-shaped reincarnation opposite said fiercely. You are really cruel. Princess Qian didn't expect that they would kill everyone here just to silence them. For the great cause of the leader, Necessary sacrifices are unavoidable, not to mention that Lord Long can absorb the sins and evil thoughts of all things in the world to strengthen his own power. The fallen angel female reincarnation said indifferently. They have been planning for so long, of course, not only to simply complete the SSS level mission, but also to take advantage of Thanos' power to expand and gain benefits, which is also their real goal. Very good. I admire your ruthless style, so I decided not to kill you later. At this time, a voice of God that shook the sky came from the void. This voice was incomparably majestic with the divinity of Hades, which calmed all the reincarnations present, as well as the Chitauri army, and even the Hulk, who was frightened and panicked before calmed down. The momentum of the three-headed dragon was offset, and he looked at Yi Tian with instinctive fear, and did not dare to act rashly. "It's His Majesty the Emperor of Heaven," Captain America said in surprise. Finally he made a move. Thor knew Yi Tian would not stand idly by. The war is about to end. Tony breathed a sigh of relief. "Are you, the Emperor of Heaven?" The male angel reincarnator glanced at Yi Tian, and his pupils shrank immediately. The newcomer with the SSS rating. Why does a mere S-level reincarnationist have such strong power? He must have borrowed some props to temporarily gain powerful power. Perhaps there is a certain legion supporting them behind the scenes. The fallen angel female reincarnationist on the side said that she suspected it was one of the Qishao and Liusha legions, the two legions that had the most conflicts with them. Humph, it's a pity that he borrowed the divine props. Lord Long will not be killed by races other than non-humans. He is the final trial of mankind, and non-humans cannot be close to him. As an angel, the male angel reincarnationist naturally felt the powerful divinity that Yi Tian obtained by using some props, but it was precisely because Yi Tian had divinity that he could not defeat the three-headed dragon they summoned. Billy, have you finished talking?" Yi Tian looked at the 2S-level reincarnationists indifferently, as if he was looking at flies with contempt. "Dare to look down on me, the fist of heaven." The male angel reincarnationist attacked angrily. The fist light with divine power formed an energy beam, locking Yi Tian's figure and bombarding. "Be careful," Princess Qian reminded. As an old rival, she knew that the power of this attack was enough to penetrate a giant steel fortress. "Please give me flowers." But she never thought that Yi Tian didn't move at all and just uttered two words lightly, "Break the void." Bang! The void seemed to obey Yi Tian's command, and it was directly isolated, forming a space barrier to block all attacks outside the space. The heavenly fist was instantly disintegrated and dissipated, leaving no energy at all. How is it possible? The male angel reincarnation was shocked. His ultimate move was easily disintegrated. Although he was trying just now, he also used 70% of it. "It's my turn." Yi Tian smiled slightly and aimed his hands at the male and female angels. "Tianyan of the universe, Shenluo Tianzheng." No, under the gravity control of Yi Tian's hands like a black hole, the 2S-level reincarnations could not escape at all, and then there was no more. Yeah, Iron Man Tony and Loki felt an inexplicable sense of pleasure at this moment. They know this feeling too well. "Loki, Your Majesty, what are you doing?" An A-level reincarnation of the Justice Legion, seeing the two captains being killed in seconds, immediately looked at Loki. Now the only person who can command the Dragon Lord is Loki, who controls the Mind Scepter. "Your Majesty the Dragon, kill them for me." Loki cursed inwardly, and in a moment of excitement, he almost forgot that he and Thor were now in opposition. "Your Majesty the Dragon." Loki turned his head and looked at the three-headed dragon, and found that the three-headed dragon was now livid, unable to move, and his body was tied with golden chains. The chain of heaven. No one below the God King can break free. Even Odin can't do it, let alone a three-headed dragon with only a clone. Although the three-headed dragon has a very high resistance to gods, it is also an evil god, and its resistance is lower than the divinity of the chain of heaven. Just like water and fire restrain each other, once it exceeds its own level, it will become ineffective. It was suppressed so quickly. Loki smacked his lips. What a joke. He knew the strength of this dragon very well. Even his father Odin might not be able to win. Even if he could, it would definitely not be easy, and he could not kill it at all. "Okay, Loki, you've made enough trouble. The game should be over. The Chitauri and the Justice Legion have almost arrived." Yi Tian appeared behind Loki at some point, holding Loki's Mind Scepter in his left hand and the Cosmic Cube in his right hand. My mind stone, my cosmic cube. Loki stood there with his hands empty, doubting his life. It turned out that the Emperor of Heaven had been playing with him before. Yi Tian ignored the distracted Loki, and slowly rose into the air until he was shoulder to shoulder with the light of the sun. Under the trembling expressions of the Chidori and the hostile reincarnations, he slowly opened his palms. Super Shinra Sky Shock. Boom. With a thunderous roar, time and space collapsed, and the war ended. Super Shinra Sky Shock. As the power of annihilation of time and space erupted in the sky, the hostile reincarnations and Chidori in the sky and the space tunnel were all involved and annihilated. The Earth-side reincarnations and the Avengers in New City were transferred to the outskirts of the city by Yi Tian in advance using the law of space. Director Luden, Tony, Captain America and other natives, as well as reincarnations such as Princess Qian were all amazed. It's over just like that. No suspense, you are worthy of being the creator. Too fast, Your Excellency the Emperor of Heaven. Princess Qian exclaimed. Fast? No, 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 little girl, don't say that, or you will regret it. Tony teased. Princess Qian, this Iron Man dared to make fun of me. 653, is he tired of living? Shut up, Minnie. Captain America and others looked at Tony with contempt. The playboy's nature still can't be changed. Tony looked a little embarrassed, blinking his eyes innocently, which made everyone's tense nerves relax a lot. It must be said that he was good at livening up the atmosphere. And Tony dared to make such a joke because he won and knew that Yi Tian would not care about him. After all, the creator is not so stingy. Loki, you are lucky to have a good father. Yi Tian did not kill Loki, but threw him to Odin, who came from the god realm, doing Odin a favor. Odin didn't know how to comfort Loki. The two fathers and sons did not have a good relationship. Odin was teaching Loki to do things with righteous words, but Loki was a proud child who felt that Odin was partial. However, this time, Loki's attitude was beyond Odin's expectations. Dad, the earth is too dangerous, I miss home. Loki hugged Odin's legs and said. As if he had suffered a lot of grievances. Odin looked around with embarrassment on his face, feeling a little embarrassed. Master Ji Yi turned her head and she saw nothing. Haha, I'll discipline him well in the future. After a pause and leaving a word, Yi Tian disappeared in front of Odin and Ancient One. I'll take the Mind Scepter and the Cosmic Cube to study first, and I'll come back when you need me. Odin and Ancient One did not stop him. They knew what Yi Tian was talking about, that is, he wanted to create an Infinity Stone of this level. After all, Yi Tian really created the Time Stone. Perhaps, this great being wants to create 6 Infinity Stones, so as to create his own universe. After Odin's thoughts were enlightened, he exclaimed. Well, the greatness of the Creator is beyond our imagination. Quote. Master Ji Yi felt that from Yi Tian's character, we could see how great the Creator was, creating billions of lives. At the same time, he was not unkind, but very down to earth. They were all looking forward to meeting their Creator. Their father's character should not be worse than His Majesty the Emperor of Heaven. Their requirements were not high, and they would be narrow if they could compare with the young Creator. By the way, don't let it be a female high school student. Otherwise, they would be a little uncomfortable to call a female high school student mother at such an old age. Reincarnation Space. Ding. Player Emperor of Heaven, in the Marvel movie copy, completed the hidden task and obtained the upper SS evaluation. Ding. The Marvel movie copy is an unlimited copy. You can still get the SSS evaluation by completing the hidden tasks later. The cooling period is 3 months. Quote. After Yi Tian came back to the reincarnation space, it instantly caused the reincarnation space to shake again. In fact, this time the shaking was more shocking than the previous times. Another super god, 3 super god evaluations, my Emperor of Heaven. Quote. What on earth did the great Emperor of Heaven eat to grow up, Lord Lumming? Are you looking for death? You dare to tease the Emperor of Heaven. With the ability of the great Emperor of Heaven, I feel that he will become an SSS-level reincarnationist sooner or later, and it won't be too long. Haven't you discovered the key point yet? The Marvel movie copy can have a second SS rating. Yes, this is the first time I know about this kind of thing. Of course, there has never been an SSS-level rating before the Emperor of Heaven. Without the Emperor of Heaven, we may not know about unlimited copies in this life. It turns out that there is such a hidden setting. The reincarnation space was shaken. At the same time, the major legions once again stepped up their efforts and began to look for Yi Tian's whereabouts. But the first time Yi Tian came back this time, he changed his ID to Hades, and they couldn't find it even if they wanted to. Reincarnation space, transformation room. Oh, I really need to find a time to upgrade the level of the reincarnator. After reaching SS level, others can't see my ID. This time my ID was recognized immediately. Fortunately, I said at the beginning that the reincarnators are variables. It's normal for variables to know that I am the creator. In addition, Odin and Ancient One were fooled by my copy of the Time Stone. Otherwise, it might have been a disaster. Quote, Yi Tian secretly rejoiced that he was well prepared, cautious, and had invincible luck. Otherwise, this SSS evaluation might have been ruined. This SSS evaluation was obtained after Yi Tian eliminated the Chitauri, but without Odin and Ancient One, it would have been impossible to get close to the final blow of $S. The elimination of the Chitauri shook the universe and also alarmed Thanos, so was successful. This 5SS evaluation was the most difficult. Although it was not the most difficult for Yi Tian, if it was another reincarnation, it would be more difficult to make the big guys in the universe believe that they were the creator than to defeat Thanos, Odin, and Ancient One. Success is fine, now is the harvest season. Quote, Yi Tian's mouth slightly raised. This time, not only did he gain a lot in the Marvel Universe, but he also received a lot of rewards for the mission. Destroying all the reincarnations on Thanos' side gave him no less than 5 million reincarnation points, as well as various reincarnation props of all sizes. At the same time, there was one SSS level reward and 2 SS level rewards. I don't know what good things will be opened this time. I am a little excited just thinking about it. Ding. Receive SSS level rewards. Get XLO reward for mission points once, SSS level props infinite gloves, SSS level props special item copy card. Ding. Receive SS level rewards. Get Hades God cloth. Ding. Receive SS level rewards. Get Hades sword. Hades God cloth, Hades sword, current grade is SS+++, top grade artifact, upgradable. This time the reward is a bit plain and unpretentious. After receiving the reward, Yi Tian was not too surprised, although it was generous. Perhaps it was because he got too many super god evaluations, or it might be because the gains from the Marvel Universe were too rich, which diluted the joy that the reincarnation space gave him. But this time the gains were actually not small. The infinite gloves happened to match the infinite gems. Although he would get the infinite gems sooner or later in the Marvel Universe, it was not bad to get them in advance. Special item copy card. One was used before, and now another one is given, which is equivalent to giving it for free. He could copy another Infinity Stone, but Yi Tian temporarily gave up the idea. Copying once was enough. He had a way to get the remaining 3 Infinity Stones. He didn't need to fool Odin and Ancient One. Keep this special item copy card. Maybe it will come in handy after entering the Zetian universe. The Hades God cloth and the Hades sword are at the same level as the 5 top grade artifacts, Destruction set, Chin Yan gave me, but they can be upgraded. Did the Samsara space give me this reward because I used Hades Divinity too frequently in Marvel, or because my ID is Hades? I wouldn't have changed my ID if I had known. Quote, Yi Tian didn't dislike Hades. In many myths, Hades was originally the creator god of the underworld and one of the creators. It's just that it's not convenient to fool people. Because Hades' divinity is just a strong pressure, with a trace of reincarnation law, and can't feel any light and darkness, Shen Shenyi and the sword plus equipment are like a big villain. People always associate Hades with the big boss, and always feel that Hades is very unfair, but there is no way, because it is human nature to hate death. Hades is Hades, this time we have gained enough. Quote. After a pause, Yi Tian looked at his own reincarnation attribute. Player, Pluto, Combat Power, SS+, Level, F, Reincarnation Points, 51 million decimals omitted. Special Items, Mysterious Command Spell, Senzu Beans X9, Titan Card, Time Travel Card, Special Item Copy Card. New Items, Time and Space Gem, Cosmic Cube, Mind Scepter, Blood Seal of Odin, Blood Seal of Ancient One, Hulk Blood Factor, Sealed Card 3-Headed Dragon, Pluto Artifact 2-piece set. Original items. Reincarnation Legion Card X5, Heaven's Lock, Space Ring, Top Artifact X5 Destruction Set, Sealed Book, Copy Identity Card X2, Time and Space Login Card X2, God Level Login Card. SS Level Blood Limit Card X95 Level Blood Limit Card X1. Special items sealed by the Seal Scroll. Angel's Body S Level Reincarnation Black Sky, Fallen Angel's Body S Level Reincarnation Leng Shui. Angel's Soul Black Sky, Fallen Angel's Soul Leng Shui, Blood and Soul Marks of 10,000 Reincarnations of the Justice Legion, and the remains of 500,000 Chidori Legion. This time in Marvel, I earned a time gem for nothing, although it is weaker than the original time gem. Cheated the Cosmic Cube and the Mind Scepter, as well as the Resurrection Mark of Ancient Odin. Suppressed the three-headed dragon clone from the Box Garden universe of Problem Children from Another World. In addition to the Justice Legions, the 5 million points that ETN sent increased tenfold to 50 million, and then they and the Chidori's bodies and souls can be used as fertilizer for his own divine domain to expand the slime army. But if they are willing to offer their souls to surrender to me and leave the Legion of Justice, it would be good, and there will be 10,000 more reincarnation gods. ETN never gave up on the reincarnation god plan. Because he has the biggest cheat in the reincarnation space, intelligence. Intelligence plus reincarnation equals resources. The more reincarnations, the more resources you get. ETN can't do it by himself, it's a waste of time to collect so many resources. And the number of times a reincarnation can log in is limited, but it doesn't matter to ETN, because ordinary login cards are very cheap, and you can buy an extra login card at the auction house for 10,000 or at most tens of thousands of points. Space-time login cards are expensive, and the value of A-level props is equal to that of level 5 props. God and Demon login cards, ETN thinks they will not be worse than S5 level props. When you upgrade your level, you can get a copy login card for free, which is random. At the same time, when your level is upgraded, the login interval can be shortened, the login time can be extended, and even the time ratio can be adjusted. However, adjusting the time is at least a privilege for SSS level reincarnations. In the intelligence atlas given to me by the women in Liusha, SSS level reincarnations in the reincarnation space rarely show up. Sometimes they retreat for thousands of years. In fact, they are retreating in a certain copy to practice, or they may participate in the chess game of some gods and demons. Thinking of this, ETN is more or less wary of SSS level reincarnations. The strength of SS level has a wide range, from lower gods, middle gods, to upper true gods. SSS level reincarnations are guaranteed to be at the God King level. Even if they are not God Kings, they have the power to threaten God Kings to become SSS level. The leader of the Justice Legion was once SSS level. Although he has dropped in level, his strength should still be 70% to 80%. ETN must be prepared to fight the enemy at any time. But with my skills and the various magical weapons in my hands, it is not a problem for me to be invincible in front of the God King. Let's strengthen myself first. ETN looked at his 50 million reincarnation points, and it would be unfair to not squander them. As for the direction of strengthening, ETN has already thought about it. Once the strengthening is successful, this time, the selection of the God universe will no longer be suspenseful. Ding! Strengthening the primary spatial talent requires 10 million points, with a success rate of 70%. Failure will also improve the perception of the primary spatial law. Should I strengthen it? Strengthen. ETN chose to strengthen without hesitation, even if the failure rate was as high as 30%. But after the first failure, the second success rate will be higher. Ding! Strengthening is successful, consuming 10 million reincarnation points, current points, 41 million. Obtained. Intermediate spatial talent. Strengthening again requires 20 million points, success rate, 11%. Ha, it succeeded. ETN breathed a sigh of relief. Even if he said he didn't care, he still felt sorry for the 10 million points. As for whether to strengthen it again, forget about the 1% success rate. The intermediate spatial talent that has just been obtained, even if the power given by the reincarnation space can be used immediately, it is impossible to control it perfectly in one go, even if Yi-Wei is a real academic genius in the God universe. No wonder more people use the training room in the reincarnation space than the strengthening room. Yi Tian sighed. He didn't have time to practice now. The selection competition was in a week. Reincarnation space, strengthen my Pluto divinity. Yi Tian said. Ding. Consume 5 million points to strengthen Pluto divinity. The success rate is 90%. Even if it fails, it can still increase the power of Pluto divinity. Do you want to strengthen it? Strengthen. Quote. Ding. Strengthening succeeded, consuming 5 million reincarnation points, current points, 36 million. Obtained. Pluto Godhead. God King grade. Pluto Godhead. 5 million points upgraded divinity to godhood. Yi Tian was a little unbelievable. With another talent he got from Marvel, the godhead of the Supreme Law God, he already had 2 godhood talents. Host, your Pluto Godhead was inherited from the fallen underworld altar. That altar was once the habitat of a Pluto Godhead. After his death, the host was the only heir who was recognized by his will. Quote. Inheritance. At that time I was wondering how I could comprehend 2 talents at once, the Pluto Godhead and the power of space. Quote. Yi Tian understood immediately that everything has cause and effect. He said that his underworld altar was so powerful, and the talented descendants of the god kings and emperors in the god universe did not comprehend any laws and magical powers under the blessing of their own altars and temples. The underworld altar was much stronger than them in this respect. It turned out to be a legacy, and the spirits in the altars and temples of the god kings and emperors had not fallen yet, and it was impossible for them to directly pass on their power to the descendants of their masters. But the will left by the Hades, why can't I feel it? Yi Tian wondered. The inheritance of the residual will has an impact on the host's personality, and the system directly suppressed it. Possession. No, it should be just the remaining will, which cannot be possessed, but it can turn me into another him. Yi Tian secretly thought that it was a close call. No wonder no one bought the underworld altar at such a low price. It turned out that there were more than one shortcomings. He had to go back to the treasure pavilion to ask for an explanation. If it weren't for the system, he might have been tricked. Strengthen it a little bit, and you can return. Yi Tian looked at his talent. Chaos Divine Mark, Intermediate Space Law, Level 5 Regeneration, SS Level Samsara Eye, Immortal Body, and the God Emperor Godhead, Supreme Law God, Hades Godhead. The Chaos Divine Mark requires various divine blood forging. The Godhead above the God King level cannot be strengthened, at least 50 million points once, and it may not be successful. The intermediate space law cannot be improved for the time being. Regeneration and Samsara Eye, Immortal Body. Samsara Eye and Immortal Body can still be used, but level 5 regeneration is a bit low. Let's strengthen all 3, Yi Tian thought. Anyway, now there are a lot of points, just strengthen them all. Ding. Consume 6 million points, strengthen critical strikes, and obtain fusion talent, Samsara Immortal Body SSS. Samsara Immortal Body. Critical strikes are strengthened due to the power of Hades Godhead, and it is obtained by integrating the Immortal Body, Samsara Eye, and S-level reliving talent. Ability. Contains the power of reincarnation, immortality, and controls the gravity of the stars, the insight to see through the stars, improves one's own understanding, and can even comprehend the law of reincarnation, create reincarnation with the law of reincarnation, and reproduce all the innate magical powers of the universe. It can be called a mythical physique, invincible at the same level. Samsara Immortal Body. This is too omnipotent. Yi Tian immediately felt that he had made a lot of money. It is equivalent to sublimating the power of the 6 paths sage, the immortal physique, the gravity of the Samsara Eye, the insight and replication of the Sharingan, and most importantly, comprehending the law of reincarnation and manifesting all the innate magical powers of the universe. This potential is too strong. Reincarnation is originally related to the underworld, and Hades Godhead has helped Yi Tian a lot. System. How strong am I now? Yi Tian's evaluation in the reincarnation space is still SS+, so he wants to ask the Wanji login system about his strength level in the God universe. Host, your current talent can make the gods of medium divine power ashamed, and you can be invincible just by talent. But you, with only 1 star of divine power, cannot fight a long war with the middle-level artifact, and the race of the God realm is still a shortcoming. The race of the God realm. Yi Tian smiled bitterly. Others became gods by relying on the race of the God realm to become strong, but he did the opposite. He only improved the race of the God realm after he became strong. But the result is the same. When the God realm becomes stronger, he also benefits. The divine power of his one-star God is given by the race of the God realm. If you practice normally, from the great perfection of the demigod to the one-star God, it takes hundreds or thousands of years for the middle-level immortal world, and it takes 10 or 8 years for the genius of the middle-level fantasy world. It's not that the geniuses in the immortal world are not as good as those in the fantasy world, but that the people in the immortal world live longer, and the people in the fantasy world generally have a short life, so they can't do it without fighting hard. You can return. After strengthening, Yi Tian planned to go to the Naruto copy to see Tsunade's progress, and then open up the divine realm to return. But before he left the strengthening room, Tsunade appeared in front of Yi Tian, and then a kind of power blinded his eyes. A few hours later, my God, your strength has improved so much. Did you gain so much from the Marvel movie copy this time? Tsunade seemed to be in a particularly good mood. As soon as she came, she played with Yi Tian, and then asked about the business. It's really big. Yi Tian nodded and asked, what about you, how are the things you told me to do? I have been in the ninja continent for more than 20 days. The time is different from your time in the Marvel copy. As for the plan, of course, I also met my deceased grandfather and others. Tsunade said. It's only been a month, and the Ninja World War has begun. Yi Tian was surprised. What? I met Orochimaru. He actually used the impure world reincarnation in front of me and didn't experience it himself. Tsunade is now the ninja who knows the impure world reincarnation best, because Yi Tian often uses it, and has studied and explained a lot with her. You must have beaten Orochimaru very badly. Yi Tian said. I caught him alive, and I really wanted to kill him. This guy dared to use my grandfather's body as research material, but I thought it might be useful to you, so I kept him. Tsunade is not the Tsunade of the past. Orochimaru can only be killed instantly when facing her. But she thinks Orochimaru is a talent, and she kept him because he is useful to the development of Yi Tian's divine domain. Orochimaru is definitely a genius among geniuses in biology, and I just happened to get a batch of blood from strong men. You were really a lucky star. Yi Tian was thinking about how to expand the race of the God realm. It must be said that Tsunade is really a blessing to him, nephew. In terms of thinking about him, Black Widow is still a little worse than Tsunade. However, before leaving Marvel, he had arranged for Black Widow and they will meet again soon. Now he should repay Tsunade first. Stop making trouble. I will take you to see the first batch of reincarnations who signed the contract later. Tsunade said seriously. So fast. Yi Tian was stunned. The first batch of reincarnation gods were recruited. Tsunade's efficiency is really strong. It should be said that she is worthy of being the 5th generation Hokage. In the original work, Yi Tian always felt that Tsunade, the 5th generation Hokage, was very watered down, mainly relying on the identity of the princess of Konoha and the prestige of the 3 ninjas. But when I thought about the fact that the Hokage was responsible for the task allocation of tens of thousands of Konoha ninjas, and Tsunade had been complaining about many things after taking office but did not cause any trouble to Konoha, I knew her ability. Very good, where are they? Yi Tian asked. They are all in a training room, with a number of 1,000 people, most of whom are orphans who lost their parents in the reincarnation era. We have not yet created a legion, and there is no legion station in the reincarnation space. Tsunade said. Then create it now. Yi Tian smiled slightly. It's just right to create my second divine domain. The world of Naruto copy. In the endless ocean far away from the 5 major ninja villages, Yi Tian and Tsunade appeared above the sea. How to open up the divine domain. Tsunade is also a demigod now, but she cannot open up the divine domain, using the talents that only the native creatures of the divine universe have. You can't do it now, but you can learn how to open up the god's domain in the samsara space, but few samsaras choose this system because they don't have enough resources, so where would they find the time to cultivate the race in the god's domain? Besides, it's not difficult to open up the god's domain, but creating a race is the ability of the creator. In terms of creation, the talents of samsaras are not as good as the gods in our god's universe. Yi Tian chuckled. The greatest advantage of the gods in the god's universe is not the divine body, divine soul and divine domain, but the potential to become the creator. Every god is a potential creator. Sometimes I really envy the gods in your universe. Hey, how come you know so much about the samsara space now? Tsunade was a little surprised. Yi Tian smiled, that's because the Luliusha Corps gave him an encyclopedia. Let's not talk about this first, open up the god's domain, and then take in your subordinates. After a pause, Yi Tian concentrated and calmed down, communicating with the golden divine seal in his sea of consciousness. This golden divine seal is the embryo of the plane of his first divine domain. The main body is still in the universe of gods, but Yi Tian can communicate and connect it because of the login system of the 10,000 worlds. Split. Yi Tian consumed all his divine power and poured it into the golden divine seal, imagining that he would create a second golden divine seal-like cell division. Good. The divine power is seriously insufficient. Yi Tian's face changed, and the divine power was not enough to open up a divine domain of the same level as before. I can only use divine crystals. Yi Tian had 140 million divine crystals, and originally wanted to keep them for use in the universe of gods, but now he had to use them. Break them for me, and see how many of my divine crystals you can use up. Yi Tian seemed to be not distressed, and consumed hundreds of thousands and millions of divine crystals to fill the divine power needed for the second divine domain. Boom boom boom. It worked. The Krypton Gold experience is too good. Quote. With the continuous infusion of divine crystals, Yi Tian's second divine domain was born. Its area, like the first divine domain, reached 500,000 square kilometers, which is equivalent to half a state in the 9 eastern states of the Earth. The two divine domains together are the land of one state. The strength has not increased much, but the upper limit has increased. Yi Tian just discovered the potential benefits of opening up the second divine domain. Increasing the area of the divine domain means increasing my upper limit. My current divine domain area is 100 times that of a demigod, and my upper limit is 100 times that of an ordinary demigod. When my divine domain is full of living beings, I will be able to beat 100 demigods, and that's without counting the blessing of innate blood, laws, and artifacts. But why is no one willing to open up the second divine domain? Quote. Yi Tian thought about it, but soon realized the reason, which was still a problem of resources. If you want to become a true god, the god realm must be promoted to the kingdom of God, which requires the condensation of Godhead. 2 god realms require the condensation of 2 different godheads, and if you want to upgrade the kingdom of God in the future, you need to upgrade the grade of Godhead. This kind of dual cultivation method is something that most people would never think of. Quote. And cultivating a god realm consumes a lot of resources. I just opened up the second god realm and consumed nearly 35 million god crystals. Quote. If I didn't have the reincarnation space, I wouldn't open up the second god realm, but this is necessary because it is the foundation of my invincibility. Quote. Yi Tian clenched his fists. With the second god realm, he would be immortal in the god universe. Congratulations, Tian. As Yi Tian's first subordinate god, Tsunade naturally knew what the second god realm meant. This means that she and Yi Tian both have an extra teleportation point and resurrection point. Tian, I won't accompany you back this time. I'll develop the second divine realm. Although Tsunade wanted to accompany Yi Tian, the second divine realm had just been opened up and there were still many things to deal with, and the 1,000 reincarnations also needed to be settled. Well, after creating the Legion, I will plant the soul mark on them, and use the mind gem to subtly influence them, which will not affect their personality and make them become our diehards. The contract of the reincarnation space alone is not safe enough, and the contract cannot bind people's hearts. As he said, Yi Tian entered the second divine realm, BCEF reincarnation, using the SS level reincarnation Legion card. Reincarnation space. This, reincarnation, divine domain, use the World Legion card. Ding. Successfully created. Please name it. All Heavens. Name successfully. Obtained. F level Legion All Heavens. Legion. All Heavens. Level. F. Legion Leader. Hades. Deputy Leader. Princess Konoha. Core members. 0. Ordinary members. 0. All let them apply to join the Legion. After creating the Legion, he immediately notified the recruited reincarnationists to join the All Heavens Legion. Divine Domain. Reincarnation. Wow, so awesome, is this the Holy Land of Heaven? Such a rich heaven and earth vitality, to have such a blessed place, our leader must be an SS-level reincarnationist. Hee, this time I'm on top of something. We can be resurrected directly without going through the reincarnation space, we're invincible. It seems that we can be given divinity here, but we need to pay for our faith. Quote, our lives were originally saved by Lady Tsunade, so we are willing to sacrifice our lives, let alone our faith. That's true. We have died once anyway. 3 women are a drama, let alone 1,000 beautiful women. After entering, they exclaimed that it was incredible. Most of them are E-level, and some are even F-level reincarnations. They can't tell that this is a divine domain. The strength is still very weak, but they will soon become skilled. Yi Tian plans to let some of them enter the super-powered out-of-control copy, bring the divine crystal stone in, and then obtain more cosmic energy stones. Each of them can awaken the S-level talent telekinesis and S-level mission rewards. Joining the Legion will give you an S-level plot and talent. The legions in the entire reincarnation space are not as generous as him. It's not difficult to improve your strength. I mainly see that they are all newcomers. Most of their minds are quite pure. A few of them are a little more sophisticated, but it's harmless. Quote, why did Tsunade choose new samsara as core members? There are samsaras of C and B level in Naruto copies, and many strong samsaras have joined the organization she created. It is because they are newbies and easy to fool. After a month of assessment, Tsunade chose girls with simple minds and no love experience. Tsunade killed all those scheming fools. Not all the people here were plotted by Tsunade and Yi Tian. Many of them were backstabbed by teammates or other samsaras and saved by Tsunade. With simple minds and gratitude, plus the contract and Yi Tian's backup, this group of core members can participate in the God's Domain War after a period of training. Betrayal is impossible forever. As Yi Tian's God's Domain race, Yi Tian will always be stronger than them. The stronger they are, the stronger Yi Tian will be. He can kill them at any time. And their spirits can also be protected by the God's Domain, and there is a contract in the samsara space. If the taboo is triggered, they will explode. With Yi Tian, Tian can revive them at any time, so they have no reason or possibility to betray. Even if they meet an SSS-level reincarnationist, they can't ask anything. As for talent and strength, it is too easy to improve with the information provided by Yi Tian. Invincible Foundation. The second divine domain still has this group of core members, which is Yi Tian's Invincible Foundation in the universal reincarnation world and the divine universe. From then on, Yi Tian traveled in both worlds without any worries. God's Domain. Metaverse. Boom boom boom. Thunder and lightning flashed in the sky, and fire burst in the void. Yi Tian's return to the God's universe caused a storm of vitality that he had not expected. On the island in the sky, the huge power brought back by Yi Tian's figure when he descended made the entire God's Domain a little overwhelmed. 100,000 cute slimes were frightened. Don't be afraid, it's okay. Yi Tian comforted the slimes, and then frowned secretly. My divine power is still God's 1 star, at most the peak level. Why is there such a big battle, right, Godhead? Yi Tian looked at the 2 major godheads of Hades and Supreme God of Law in his talent. The power contained in them is enough to make the God's Domain open the kingdom of God. As long as Yi Tian is willing, he can connect the Godhead with the God's Domain now. The fusion of the 2 divine attributes in the divine realm can make one a true God, and one can even break through to the 9-star primary God at once. To enter the Zetian universe, one needs to be no more than 1 star of the God. At this moment, Yi Tian almost had the idea of being promoted to a god, but he held back. A little impatience can ruin a big plan. After entering the Zetian universe, there will be no such concern. He can merge at that time. It is now past 12 o'clock in the morning, so there is less than a week before the selection. After the selection, the royal family should take him and other Tianzhou into the Zetian universe. In that golden age, he will become a great emperor. Let's set a small goal, to rival the great saint body within a year, to become a great emperor in 2 years, and to become a real immortal in the world in 3 years. Yi Tian is really ambitious now. He didn't dare to think about it before, but now he is really confident. With the reincarnation space, the universe of gods, his own talents and trump cards, it is not impossible to become a real immortal in the world in 3 years. Ding! You have an invitation letter that you have not checked. At this time, the God Realm connector sensed that Etienne had entered the God Realm and prompted. Invitation letter. 3 days later, the Beibao Chamber of Commerce will hold a banquet of nations with the Zudian Expo Center in Yangcheng. At that time, members from all nations on the ancestral star will be gathered, and specially invited, the first day of Shenzhou. Yi Tian was just about to ask the Beibao Chamber of Commerce for an explanation. The underworld altar almost tricked him, but he didn't expect it to invite him. Feast of Nations. It seems that there are only a few hundred countries on the ancestral star Earth, big and small. Even if some small tribes are counted, it can't reach 10,000. Interesting. It's time to broaden my horizons. That's perfect. I'll go find him in 3 days. After 3 days of rest, Yi Tian planned to feel his own power in the God realm during this time, especially to familiarize himself with the reincarnation immortal body and the current intermediate space law. Another important thing is to cultivate the race of the God realm. He hasn't dealt with the captives in the Marvel universe yet. The race of the God realm cannot be my weakness. Yi Tian's mouth curled up slightly. When the reincarnationists can form combat power and join the God realm war, he will have no rivals. And he agreed. The royal immortal boat, Mu Qinger said. Princess Shanyan nodded slightly, without saying anything, but she looked extremely happy. Mu Qinger shook her head slightly. She felt that it was unnecessary for Yi Tian to participate in the banquet of all nations held by the Beibao Chamber of Commerce, because the geniuses from all nations were more or less arrogant. In the future memory she saw, the banquet of all nations held by the Beibao Chamber of Commerce caused quite a stir, which led to the rise of a genius of the God of Food in the future void battlefield. He was a ruthless person, and it was said that he was a girl. As for Yi Tian, it seems that he will never see his future, but Mu Qinger's focus has always been on the eldest princess, who is the most important. The eldest princess. Why did she let Yi Tian go to that kind of banquet? She clearly knew that he didn't like trouble. Could it be sending monsters to gain experience? Mu Qinger remembered the dark side of her aunt and immediately guessed the truth. Let's mourn for those geniuses from all over the world. The one who plotted against them is the future God Emperor. Time flies, and 3 days is very short. Even if 3 days seems like 3 years to Yi Tian, 3 years is still very short. And why say 3 years? Because Yi Tian entered the practice room of the God Universe, which was provided by the Fusi of Yangcheng Town. It has the same effect as the practice room in the samsara space, but the practice room in the samsara space adjusts the time ratio, while the practice room in the God Universe improves the speed of comprehension. The difference is that 3 years of practice in the samsara space really reduces 3 years of life. Practicing in the practice room of the God Universe for 3 days really only lasts for 3 days. The effect of the God Universe is naturally better, but it depends on talent. People without talent cannot improve their practice speed much. And it consumes a lot of resources. Even if Qin Yan does not charge Yi Tian for the startup fee of the practice room, it still costs 5 million God crystals to maintain the accelerated comprehension effect. 5 million God crystals for 3 days. Using the practice room every day, let alone Yi Tian, even those children of aristocratic families with royal blood can't afford it. Even if it is the royal family, only the children born by the emperor are eligible to use it every day. The resources are too exaggerated. I thought 140 million God crystals were a lot, but I didn't expect that there are only 100 million left now. Quote. When Yi Tian came out of the training room of the Junfu division, he sighed to the sky. Resources. What gods need most for training is resources. No wonder some gods would sell out their own fathers for resources. In comparison, Linla, that fool, just sold out his friend, of course he still had to die. Haha, now you know the importance of resources, right? You are talented, and it is worth it. Some people with dull qualifications but good family background are really wasting resources. Qin Yan seemed to have been waiting for Yi Tian for a long time, and appeared the moment he came out. That's true, but why are you dressed so formally? Yi Tian asked curiously. Why is Qin Yan still wearing a black suit and tie today, dressed so formally that people who don't know him would think he is a fat otaku playing dungeons? You're still asking me. Forgot the banquet of nations. Qin Yan complained in his heart. If the princess hadn't sent someone to issue an order, specifically asking him to accompany Yi Tian, he would not have participated in that boring banquet. Although when he was young, he was always pretending to be good at various genius banquets, so good. In fact, it was because Qin Yan had experience that the princess chose him. Oh, Yi Tian nodded lightly. He thought it was a trivial matter. Seeing Qin Yan's solemn and ready blind date look, he looked at his casual clothes, felt that he was too casual. Do you want to change clothes? Let's go, the dress is ready for you, who made you handsome? Qin Yan said, looking at Yi Tian deeply, his tone a little sour. Handsome, you're okay, but you're too straightforward and don't have any luck with women. Yi Tian didn't understand why Qin Yan said that. Everyone was born a son of God, and their looks were not low. Even Zhao Xiaorui's looks were just passing the standard, with an ordinary face. Oh, by the way, ordinary faces can indeed be buried in the universe of gods, no wonder Mu Qinger hated Zhao Xiaorui so much at the beginning. Not to mention that Mu Qinger's identity behind her is a princess of the royal family, and her surface identity is also a noble who is more powerful than the Zhao family. Zhao Xiaorui, I'm really sorry for having an ordinary face. HMPH, women will only affect the speed of my condensing the lotus of divine anger. Qin Yan disdainful, he doesn't need women, the divine fire is enough. Haha, very good, Lao Qin, you are strong enough, worthy of being a role model for our generation. Quote. Yi Tian smiled, Qin Yan deserved to be punished for 100 years. However, Qin Yan's cultivation speed was so fast, and it was also related to his pure yang body. His strongest talent was not the law, but the immortal body of Emperor Yan, which required a pure yang body. In addition, Qin Yan's skills were incomplete, and every breakthrough was a life and death struggle. If he did not maintain a pure yang body, the probability of failure would be higher. As his current biggest supporter in the God universe, actually the third supporter, if there is a chance in the future, he can help Qin Yan repair his skills. Okay, don't waste time. Being late is not the etiquette of the nobility. Take your clothes and find a place to change. Quote. Qin Yan threw a space ring to Yi Tian. Yi Tian smiled, created a temporary space barrier, and walked in. I told this kid not to use the space law casually, and in front of me, the head of the Junfu division, it's great to have someone to protect him, ahem. Qin Yan's mouth twitched, and suddenly remembered that he was one of the people who protected Yi Tian, and felt a little embarrassed. Not long after. It's okay, this set of fairy clothes is not bad, better than the 5 top-grade artifacts you gave me. Yi Tian came out wearing a fairy robe mixed with modern style, with a transcendent temperament, and a dragon-patterned fairy jade tied around his waist, holding a black bird jade fan in his hand, which complemented each other, and it was obviously carefully matched. Compared to the 5 top-grade suits of the Law of Destruction that Qin Yan gave him, although it has not been used in battle, it has been worn, and it is not as good as Tsunade's set. Tsunade's colorful fairy clothes are for women to wear. The destruction suit is for combat, and its effect is a bit like that of a Super Saiyan, with lightning bursting out, and even the hairstyle will change, making him look like a violent war god. Yi Tian likes this suit more than the destruction suit. Of course, Qin Yan complained in his heart, the eldest princess personally provoked you, it is priceless. It is comfortable to wear. Buy a few more sets in the future. No, it is no problem to buy dozens of sets. Yi Tian stretched his body, and wanted to rest comfortably in the clothes. This set of equipment really suited his heart. He knew the price was not cheap without checking the system, but he still dared to say this, and now he has the capital to say this, no matter who gave it to him. Dozens of sets. Qin Yan's face twitched fiercely, and he complained in his heart, do you know its price? What's wrong? Yi Tian said. Nothing, don't talk to me now. Qin Yan forced himself to forget all his troubles, the trouble of having no money, and then took Yi Tian into his divine domain, the Flame Realm. The first time he entered the Flame Realm, Yi Tian was really eye-opening. Your God's domain, no, God's kingdom, is actually a starry sky. Yi Tian can sense that the planets in the starry sky are all alive. Wouldn't fighting in the God's domain be equivalent to an interstellar war? Is this the realm of true gods? In comparison, the God's domain battles between demigods are like children playing in the mud. My God's domain has evolved into the God's realm, God is the Lord of Sound Shang, who has the God of Sound Shang. Qin Yan explained. You are still a true God, and you have a God's realm. No wonder you can rival the God King. Yi Tian sighed. Putting aside Qin Yan's occasional funny and pretentious shortcomings, his talent is indeed beyond reproach. How do you know I can rival the God King? Qin Yan was startled. He never told anyone this. You are stupid. The last time you told me the secrets of the void battlefield, those monsters called the Supreme were equivalent to the God King realm. If you can't match the God King, how can you come back alive? Besides, you have the God realm, isn't it normal to match the God King? Yi Tian looked like he had Alzheimer's disease, staring at Qin Yan. Qin Yan touched his head embarrassedly. There was a voice in his heart that made him let down his guard in front of Yi Tian, which was why his mind was not clear and cautious enough. Did those supreme emperors hurt his brain? Should I ask the royal family to help me take a look? I have made great contributions this time, but they haven't rewarded me yet. Qin Yan muttered. Yi Tian pretended not to hear it, and laughed in his heart. Haha, actually you are not stupid, I just have a system. Old Qin, don't care about these, you brought me to the Yan realm, you didn't want to show off, did you? Quote. Yi Tian said lightly. Of course not. If you want to attend a banquet between nobles and foreign guests, you have to give you some pomp. Besides, I am the highest manager of this city, and I can't lose face in front of all nations. Quote. Qin Yan said, clapped his hands, and 9 golden flaming dragons emerged from the Yan realm, pulling the dark golden sun chariot. On the sun chariot, the sun was in the sky, and the 9 suns were in the world. Under the sun, the whole sky was auspicious, and the ground was full of golden lotus. With this pomp, people who don't know would think you are the ancient God Emperor. Yi Tian didn't expect Qin Yan to be so face-conscious. It's okay, a small scene. Qin Yan laughed, so humble. In fact, it's not that he cares about face, but the God King and God Emperor of the God Universe like to make a pomp. After surpassing the God Emperor realm, they return to their original nature and appear in a very low tone, without these empty things. Sitting in this kind of car, don't say it, it's quite a sense of accomplishment. Yi Tian said lightly. In his previous life, he was also a car lover. He liked sports cars because they were cool, but the cars in his previous life were completely different from the Sun Chariot. You will have one in the future. Qin Yan said lightly. That's right. By the way, before we leave, I want to ask what the situation is in Wangguo. Yi Tian said. Let's talk while we walk. Qin Yan looked at the time and said. Originally, with the speed of the Sun Chariot, it would arrive at a banquet in a short time, but for the sake of face and the appearance of the nobility, the speed cannot be fast but it cannot be late. Yi Tian sighed secretly. This is the root badness of the nobility, pretending. But I don't hate it, haha. Chapter 71. In the void, the Sun Chariot moved forward. Yi Tian and Qin Yan sat in the guest and host seats and slowly moved towards the feast of all nations. You said that the world is not only the world on Earth, but also includes the star realm. Why haven't I heard of the star realm? Yi Tian didn't know the concept of the star realm at all, and the God University didn't mention it. Only the gods who entered the void battlefield know the existence of the star realm. The star realm is located on the starry road from the Earth to the void battlefield, so it is also called the void star realm. Is that so? But there is no need to keep it secret to this extent. Yi Tian said suspiciously. Because the star realm is a line of defense for us humans to protect our ancestral planet. After a pause, Qin Yan continued. You don't think that the void battlefield is one way, do you really think that only we can use the void battlefield to carry out plane wars? Those powerful planes can actually cause us great trauma, and in the void battlefield, we still have many powerful competitors, enemies, and enemies. The simplest example is that after becoming a god, you will no longer age, but the population of our ancestral star has always been stable. You don't think there are no war casualties? Bogies. Listening to this cruel fact, Yi Tian was a little surprised, but not very surprised. The age of gods has been opened for so long, and there are only tens of billions of gods on Earth. It is impossible that there are no war casualties. His cheap parents in this life both died in the Void War. The Void Battlefield and the Plane War are endless adventures, but there are also great risks. Maybe you think it's not bad to be a demigod civilian, at least you can live happily for thousands of years, but if the star realm is lost, can the demigods on Earth have a good end? Qin Yan reminded, a little worried that Yi Tian would be timid and lose his fighting spirit. I haven't thought about it this way. Besides, even in the ordinary world, people die every day. If you are afraid of death, you will do nothing. Then it's meaningless to be a human or a god. Yi Wei said leisurely. Yeah, Qin Yan smiled and nodded, the boy is teachable. Our Earth should be protected by a barrier or seal. Yi Tian knew that there were seals of the gods on Earth. That's natural. The God Realm Connector was created to connect those seals, but don't tell anyone about it. Qin Yan said, and then reminded seriously, also, don't talk nonsense about the seal on Earth. The seal has advantages and disadvantages. If one day the evil demons from outside the domain really break in from the star realm, the gods will never die under the protection of the seal, but if they can't defeat the enemy, they will all become vegetative people, and they can't run away even if they want to. The Earth is actually a cage, so the seal can't be lifted. Yi Tian was more skeptical at this time. The seal of the gods should be a seal imposed by the gods. Is this seal only a lock without a key? Don't ask me about this. Anyway, we can't tell ordinary people too much about the seal. I can only tell you that the seal on the Earth was caused by the ancient rulers of the universe, and the gods of our time have to pay for it. Those fools can't rest in peace even after they die, and they deserve to be exterminated by others. Qin Yan gritted his teeth and said with hatred. His hatred was so deep that Yi Tian was surprised again. If it was just the hatred from ancient times, he wouldn't be so gnashing. Looking at Qin Yan's expression, the evil done by the ancient rulers of the universe made the gods miserable now, and it might not be that simple. So, most of the geniuses in the banquet of all nations are from the star realm. Yi Tian said, yes, and most of the people in the star realm have a sense of superiority, especially the aristocrats in the star realm. Except for the royal family and the aristocratic families with royal blood, they look down on everyone, because half of the ancestors of the star realm nations are of royal or foreign royal blood. Qin Yan said with a bit of disgust, obviously he didn't like the aristocrats in the star realm. Star realm noble, it seems that I will have troubles this time. Yi Tian's mouth corners slightly raised, and he saw the ferocity of his prey. Trouble? I'm not afraid of your strength, but you smile so weirdly, are you trying to take advantage of the opportunity to make a fortune again? Qin Yan thought of Yi Tian's battle in the God realm a few days ago, and he was somewhat impressed by Yi Tian's means of making money. He was a billionaire at a young age, and he became rich overnight. Although he couldn't compare with him, the quasi-god king, it was also extremely exaggerated. Many middle-level gods can't earn so many god crystals in their lifetime. The resources needed for cultivation are far from enough to rely on the god crystals produced by the god realm alone. Many middle-level gods feel that there is no hope for breakthrough, so they want to seek stability and return to Earth to do business, and place their hopes on the next generation. This is the case with Zhao Xiaorui's parents. In this case, the Earth acquiesces. Gods without fighting spirits are not worth cultivating, so it is better to let them cultivate their offspring. So what? It has nothing to do with you. But at this moment, Yi Tian was a little curious about why Qin Yan was so concerned about his making money. Didn't he want to come before? The royal family's reward has not come yet. I am so poor now, but I have a whole world of creatures to support. Qin Yan said shamelessly. It's not good for you to participate in the gambling of the younger generation with your identity. Yi Tian blushed for Qin Yan at this moment. You are a quasi-god king, a big man who can compete with the god king. Can you have some face? Of course I'm not betting with you, I'm betting with the parents of those star realm geniuses, Qin Yan said bluntly. 50%. Yi Tian opened his palm lightly. What do you mean? Qin Yan didn't react at first, but soon blurted out. No way, you want 50% of the money I won. You are too cruel to get something for nothing. I wanted to give you a share as a reward, but this is too much. Don't get excited first. First, if you want to gamble, you can't do it without me. You can't afford such a big gamble. Second, even if there is such a big gamble, do you dare to bet? It's because you know my strength. The strength of other top talents is about 50 to 50. Who do you bet on? Do you dare to bet your entire fortune with others? Yi Tian sneered. If Yi Tian hadn't proposed to gamble with the genius of the star realm, Qin Yan would have had no chance to make money. And the victory or defeat is in Yi Tian's hands. Even if Yi Tian won and plundered the opponent's resources, as long as the opponent still has a breath, Yi Tian will lose if he voluntarily admits defeat. Otherwise, Qin Yan would not have said that he planned to give Yi Tian a share, because it really couldn't be done without Yi Tian, and the initiative is in Yi Tian's hands. Originally, with Qin Yan's strength, he could control the initiative, just like in many fantasy worlds. The boss bets with his apprentice, the apprentice fights for his life, the boss wins and makes a lot of money, and loses some money. But Yi Tian is different. Yi Tian has done Qin Yan a favor, Yi Tian has won the favor of the princess, and Yi Tian's talent is irreplaceable, especially now that the selection competition is about to begin. All 3 points make it impossible for Qin Yan to overwhelm others, and he himself does not want to be so mean. Moreover, Qin Yan feels that Yi Tian has no awe of him now. Before, he had more or less respect for his strength, but now he is not afraid of him at all, as if he has the belief that he is invincible in the world. Although I don't know where Yi Tian's belief is, Qin Yan just feels that Yi Tian can now talk to him on an equal footing. Intuition. Qin Yan's intuition is very accurate, and it has saved him many times. Good guy, at such a young age, he has such courage. This 50%, it's better not to have it. Quote. Qin Yan's eyes changed when he looked at Yi Tian, from gratitude and appreciation to gratitude and goodwill, which is a normal goodwill between people, but he thought it was wrong. The appreciation was gone because he regarded Yi Tian as an equal. Very good, Lao Qin, you are straightforward. Don't worry, I won't let you suffer a loss. I will also increase the bet. My identity is not convenient to increase such a large chip, just so that you can make more money. Yi Tian said. As if you don't make money. Qin Yan complained in his heart. Cooperation is a win-win situation, but Yi Tian will definitely make more money than Qin Yan, because Qin Yan has put in more capital, but Qin Yan doesn't care now. He now wants to see how capable Yi Tian is and how big the chips he can take out. The part given to Yi Tian is regarded as an investment for Yi Tian. I make money, but if I really take out the things in my hand to gamble, your net worth may not be comparable. As he said, Yi Tian took out the cosmic cube from the prop column. Qin Yan's pupils shrank. Hiss. God Emperor's treasure. The supreme treasure of the God Emperor. Yi Tian nodded slightly. Qin Yan's evaluation was similar to his evaluation of the Infinity Stones of the Marvel Universe. 6 Infinity Stones are the threshold to reach above the God Emperor, because controlling 6 Infinity Stones equals omnipotence of the universe. The God Emperor is immortal, with the power to destroy a single universe, but he is not omnipotent and omniscient in the universe. A single Infinity Stone also has the power to match the laws of the God Emperor, so it is the supreme treasure of the God Emperor. There is a gap between universes, but the quality of the Marvel Universe is not low, and the quality of the Infinity Stones is certainly not low. Even this is the Infinity Stone of the movie Marvel. If it is the Infinity Stone of the Goddess of Vengeance in the comic Marvel, the quality will be higher. Your thing is a bit expensive. I guess only the God Emperor can bet on it, and he may not dare to bet on it. The giants above the God Emperor will not be easily unveiled. Qin Yan originally felt that Yi Tian took advantage of him a little, but now he is a little ashamed, because except for his skills that are better than the supreme treasure of the God Emperor, there is nothing more valuable than the supreme treasure of the God Emperor. Maybe there is one in the special altar in his Yanji, but he really can't take it out now. Oh, that's okay, this one is a little weaker. Yi Tian put away the cosmic magic cube and took out the replica of the inferior time gem. You kid, are you here to show off to me? You are the God King, I'm actually poorer than you. Qin Yan was honestly shocked. But in his heart, he felt more grateful to Yi Tian. Yi Tian actually didn't need his 5 top-grade artifacts, but was moved by his filial piety, so he gave the fairy beans to his father. Fairy beans are the product of special laws. Ordinary, one pill can bring people back to life, but it can't cure diseases. Qin Yan can make pills, and he is very curious about what universe this item comes from. Qin Yan, who often fights plane wars in the void battlefield, naturally guessed that this is a product of other planes. Qin didn't care how Yi Tian got it. When he first entered the void battlefield, he met an old man who liked to speak loudly. The old man warned him loudly. Don't ask about other people's opportunities. If you ask, you will be your mortal enemy. After so many years, Qin Yan agreed with this sentence more and more. I don't know how the old man is doing now. Qin Yan missed him. Don't be stunned. If you take this thing out for gambling, will others dare to take it? Yi Tian shook the time gem and asked. Qin Yan thought for a while and said, only the nobles of the big countries in the Star Realm dare to bet with me. Some weak Star Realm lords are just at the level of God King, and some are just as strong as me. Are all weak lords of the country God King? The power of the Star Realm is quite strong. Yi Tian frowned. There are more than 10,000 countries in the Star Realm, and the weaker lords are all as strong as God King. It seems to be much stronger than the ancestral planet Earth. The middle-level gods on Earth are the backbone, and the true gods are the high-end combat power. No wonder the people in the Star Realm feel superior. It is true that only the royal family with unfathomable background can suppress the nobles in the Star Realm. That's natural. The Star Realm is the defense line of our ancestral planet. Is it possible not to send heavy troops to the defense line? Qin Yan said as a matter of course. Well, okay, we're at the venue. I'll go in first. I'll take the initiative to start a bet with the genius of the Star Realm. You can find a way to get the nobles in the Star Realm to take the bait. Yi Tian said at this time. Are you okay? Qin Yan was worried that Yi Tian couldn't start the bet. The bet had to be opened by Yi Tian before he could continue it on the side of the nobles in the Star Realm. Don't worry. Yi Tian said okay, he was best at attracting hatred. Yangcheng, the Expo of the Heavens. The large-scale building of the Expo was created with Xuanwu as the prototype. It has a strong sense of art, but the style is a bit unruly and luxurious. And this is only the surface of the Expo. The interior is a special space. There is a huge square that can accommodate 1 million people, divided into hundreds of areas, and the layout is a bit like the turtle pattern on the back of the black tortoise. Each area is filled with the goods of the Beibao Chamber of Commerce, which come from the heavens. The grade may not be high, but they must be rare treasures. Yi Tian was a little dazzled when he walked in, and wanted to bring all these rare treasures into his divine domain. Of course, that is impossible. No matter how arrogant Yi Tian is, he will not rob the Expo, especially in front of the envoys of all nations. Such a big banquet, the princess didn't come, don't give face. Yi Tian felt a little regretful, he missed her after not seeing her for a few days. Does the princess need to give you face? On the side, several noblemen dressed differently from Earth suddenly came over with a smile as if they heard a joke. You want to see the princess of Shenzhou, do you know how many big guys want to see her every year but can't? It's extremely difficult for the princes and even the emperors of the 4 empires outside Shenzhou to see her. What's the matter with Shenzhou's contemporary #1 genius? There has always been a strongest genius in the past years, but there are still only a handful of strong people who can eventually become strong. You don't think that you are really invincible in the world just because you beat 50 trash, even if you are invincible, it's only on Earth. Those geniuses on Earth are just demigod 9 stars. The geniuses participating in the selection in our star realm this time are at least demigod great perfection, and many of them have become gods. You should be glad that you can't participate in the selection if you are 1 star higher than the primary gods, otherwise you can go home and cool off. Quote. Several noblemen from the Star Realm seemed to have colluded and attacked Yi Tian as soon as they saw him. It's going to be a good show. Seeing that the genius from the Star Realm had a conflict with the #1 genius of Shenzhou at the first time, the representatives and geniuses of other countries on Earth, especially the empires created by the other 4 god emperors, almost laughed out loud. Alas, isn't it good to be alive? Quote. Nandu Lu Xuan, who happened to be in the same area, saw this and shook his red wine glass. He didn't expect that the geniuses in the Star Realm could be more suicidal than them. In the battle a few days ago, Mu Busho had used the royal divine pattern to reach the fighting power of a god, and used the means of mutual destruction, but Yi Tian took advantage of Mu Village. No matter how powerful these nobles from the Star Realm are, they are at most stronger than the normal Mu Busho. Mu Busho who has awakened the divine pattern can beat them. Unless they don't want to die, and forcibly awaken the royal divine pattern before the divine body has not achieved a small success, it is still a bit interesting, but he still doesn't think highly of these nobles. I said, do I know you well? Is it the etiquette of the nobles to surround people? Yi Tian looked at the nobles surrounding him and smiled faintly. Hearing this, the nobles of the Star Realm looked a little ugly, but they still made way for them, and they couldn't lose their manners. But they made way. Yi Tian didn't plan to leave. The princess didn't give me face. Do you think I'm talking about me? I'm talking about you. You came all the way from the Star Realm to hold a banquet for all nations. Did the princess give you face? The nobles of the Star Realm were instantly humiliated. They slapped each other in the face. But that's not all. Yi Tian's Versailles literature has just begun. It's actually very difficult to meet the princess. I don't blame you. I just met her a few days ago and chatted with her for a few words. It's really too difficult. Oh, by the way, I know you may not believe it. If you don't believe it, what should I do? The princess only gave me a Chaos Divine mark, which is not very impressive. Quote. He said he couldn't show it, but the back of Yi Tian's hand showed the Chaos mark. Star Realm Princes. I almost vomited blood in anger, but the Chaos mark was real. Chaos mark, how is it possible? He really met the princess. The Chaos mark of the Shenzhou royal family can only be granted by the princess. The royal family is too optimistic about him. Hiss. In the past 100,000 years, Zitian is the first non-royal member to be granted the Chaos God level. The star nobles were so scared that they dared not speak. The Chaos mark is the face of the host Shenzhou royal family, and they dared not offend. Is this Yi Tian, the first genius of our Shenzhou? Haha, he speaks very Wang Qian, meaning, haha. The star nobles, their faces are all beaten. Haha, if I were them, I would bury my face in the ground. Lu Xuan and other earth nobles who were not used to the star nobles joined in the fun. Don't slap him in the face too fast. Yi Tian, you are just lucky. If our Star Realm geniuses had arrived on Earth earlier, the Chaos Divine mark would be ours. We are the ones who can see the princess. Yi Tian, do you dare to duel with us? There are a few one-star gods who think they are invincible among the Star Realm nobles, and they are unwilling to admit defeat. Duel, just what I want. After saying that, Yi Tian glanced in the direction of the high level. Did you see that? My Versailles literature is so good. He didn't even need to provoke this duel. The other side took the initiative to give him a head. Qin Yan secretly raised a thumbs up in his heart, saying, I learned it. What happened in Area 01? Why did the duel space suddenly open up? Yi Tian wants to duel with the noble young men from the Star Realm, 1 against 100. No way, last time he only fought 50, and this time he challenged a stronger 1 against 100. This guy must be a monster. Who said he wasn't? Even if he loses, it's an honorable defeat. Let's go and have a look. Although Yi Tian is our biggest competitor, he is now also the representative of our Earth. Because of Yi Tian's duel with the noble young men from the Star Realm, the original banquet was a little commotion, but in terms of the result, it added fun to the entire banquet. It was originally just a daily banquet for the upper class, but now it has become a battle between the geniuses of the Star Realm and the Earth's ancestral star. The geniuses on Earth still hope that Yi Tian can win. And they also tacitly agreed that Yi Tian would win in a one-on-one match. After all, Yi Tian was able to win in a one-on-one match with 50 last time, which means he is invincible to gods. Even many primary one-star gods said that they might not be able to beat Yi Tian. Especially after digesting the results of the last battle, Yi Tian's current god realm is absolutely terrifying, and it is no longer comparable to the demigod. We know that your god realm is a shortcoming, so we will not fight the god realm war this time. We will compete in a one-on-one duel, and we will not use magic weapons, so as to avoid being accused of bullying you. The noble sons of the Star Realm are obviously well prepared. They are not fools. Last time, Yi Tian defeated 50 geniuses of Shenzhou and confiscated 3 God King altars, which was a great blessing to the race of the God realm. There are also 140 million God crystals to squander at will. Their family property is rich, but the family will not let them squander 100 million God crystals at will. What's more, last time, Minato Namikaze alone played around with the God realm race of 38 geniuses. After strengthening again, they really have no confidence to beat Yi Tian in the God realm war. You really have martial ethics. Yi Tian smiled, this time it was a smile from the heart. To be honest, he will definitely win the battle in the God realm, but he will reveal a lot of things, because this time the opponent is 90 demigods who have reached the great perfection, 10 star gods. Except for the top geniuses in the star realm who did not play, these are the geniuses in the first echelon. In fact, the star realm can easily have 101 star gods, but the star realm nobles still have to have face, and many 1-star gods are unwilling to play. Humph, don't be sarcastic, don't say that we are outnumbered, it's just because the Chaos Divine Mark is too precious, and only the peerless genius is worthy of owning such a treasure. A 1-star god looked covetous. Haha, what about you, are you worthy? Yi Tian sneered. After we win the Chaos Divine Mark, we will give it to the most powerful genius in our star realm. His realm has long surpassed the 1-star gods, and even we feel sorry for him, BCFE. The 1-star god said confidently. Haha, it doesn't matter anyway. Just prepare the promised 10 billion divine crystals and 10,000 kinds of divine blood. Yi Tian was too lazy to talk nonsense with them. As long as the bet was okay, it would be fine. The bet this time was the Chaos Divine Mark. The star realm did not bring any treasures of equivalent value, so Yi Tian had to ask for a high price. 10 billion divine crystals were a lot, super much, but for the representatives of all nations in the star realm, it was really not much. One country representative could get 1 million, and the star realm had no reason to refuse. As for the divine blood, if Yi Tian won, the families of the 10,000 geniuses from the star realm would have to give Yi Tian a divine blood origin. The goal was clear, to refine the Chaos Divine Mark and create a chaos body. Everyone knew this, but this condition was actually more difficult than 10 billion divine crystals, because the divine blood origin was closely related to the family's lifeline. If it was cracked by someone, it might put their family in an unfavorable situation. However, they did not think Yi Tian could win. Besides, if Yi Tian won, then he won. He would be used to refine the Chaos Divine Mark anyway, so he had no time to study. It was impossible to find anything by studying. Yi Tian was only a demigod. He could not crack the secret of their divine body without reaching the realm of the Divine King. Yi Tian did not have the time and patience. Compared with the value of the Chaos Divine Mark, they still agreed. Okay, Yi Tian, I admire your courage. If you can win, I, Zhou Kang, would like to call you the strongest. Among the geniuses in the star realm, the prince named Zhou Kang stood on the stage at the first time and challenged Yi Tian. Don't waste time, let's get started. Yi Tian said impatiently. Zhou Tian thunder flash. Zhou Kang condensed a thunder spear in his palm. He was at the level of a 1-star god, but he only used the power of a semi-god. He launched a thunderous attack at Yi Tian. Although he held back, the power of this attack was enough to match the full force of a 1-star god. Speed faster than lightning, plus enough power to destroy a large city, a good attack, but you shouldn't hold back. Yi Tian held Zhou Kang's thundering attack with one hand and commented lightly. What? Zhou Kang was shocked. He was about to distance himself from Yi Tian and attack again, but found that his body could not move. Bang! Yi Tian teleported behind him, and Zhou Kang lost consciousness with a snap of his hand knife. It's true. Under the dual space arena, Lu Xuan smiled bitterly, still one person at a time, familiar plot. Next one. Yi Tian clapped his hands, looked at the other star geniuses and said calmly, or you can come together. However, no one dared to move for a while. Among the 10 gods and 1 star, Zhou Kang was not a weakling, but was killed by Yi Tian in an instant. Yi Tian, you actually mastered the law of space. A black-clothed young man among the remaining 9 god geniuses, his family bloodline happened to be a rare space god. He also comprehended the elementary law of space, but he had not even reached the realm of small success, which was a world of difference from Yi Tian. And his exclamation made all the geniuses in the star realm dare not underestimate Yi Tian anymore. The law of space, invincible at the same level, no wonder Yi Tian could beat the 50 Shenzhou geniuses. It's true. Quote, Lu Xuan also guessed it after that battle, but he was not sure. Oh, you can actually see it, what's your name? Yi Tian looked at the god genius with appreciation. You have to know that his spatial law is perfect. If it is the influence of the divine domain connector, even Qin Yan may not be able to see through it at a glance. In fact, he didn't know that even the princess couldn't tell whether it was the spatial law or the magical skill at a glance. She just guessed it. Afterwards, the princess felt that Yi Tian's fit with the spatial law was 100% perfect, and only by seeing it with her own eyes could she see it. Jimo, please teach me. The black-clothed youth bowed and then stood on the stage. It's fine to teach you, but I can't teach you anything. The time is too short. Yi Tian said, and teleported behind the black-clothed youth. Really? Duan Kong. The black-clothed youth smiled confidently, and used the primary spatial law to unfold the spatial barrier to isolate all damage. You also control the spatial law. Bang! Before Jimo finished speaking, he felt a pain in the back of his neck. He rolled his eyes and lay on the ground, making a loud noise. Next, quote, Yi Tian twisted his neck and said boringly. Jimo thought that since they both knew the law of space, they couldn't do anything to each other. After all, they were too young. It was actually easier to decide the winner if they both knew the law of space. The two sides' understanding of the law of space was not at the same level at all. Next, at this time, the geniuses in the star realm were all speechless, and were beaten into a library by Yi Tian. Because Jimo and Zhou Kang were both killed in seconds, and it was a one-on-one duel, how could they fight? I've seen this scene. Lu Xuan laughed with relief and joy. Finally someone could understand his mood at that time. Hurry up, stick your head out and you'll get a knife, and you'll get a knife if you shrink your head. Yi Tian was on the stage, quietly advising the Star Realm geniuses not to struggle fearlessly. The Star Realm geniuses felt aggrieved, but they could only endure it, because no matter how arrogant Yi Tian was, he had the capital to be arrogant, and they really couldn't compare with Yi Tian. Let me do it. If you can beat me, then we will collectively admit defeat. The leader of the 98 Star Realm geniuses, the silver armor knight named Saint Dark, stood on the stage. Saint Dark, one of the most talented geniuses in the Star Realm today, the Star Realm sent him up as the finale, but unfortunately he met Yi Tian. Don't underestimate him. He is the prince of the Star Realm Paladin Kingdom, which was founded by a prince of the Holy Light Empire, one of the 4 great empires. Holy Light Empire. Royal talent seems to be related to time. Your strength is not much different from the first two. Who gave you the confidence? 1. Yi Tian could see that Saint Dark's strength was on par with Jimo and Zhou Kang, and he dared to come up and fight alone, which was a bit interesting. It's not self-confidence, but we in the Star Realm can't do such a shameful thing as gang beating. Saint Dark said, we have to have some shame. Ha ha. Yi Tian smiled. It's okay, although people in the Star Realm like to pretend, but in this regard, they are better than those aristocratic families on Earth, not so shameless. My God's law is the law of time. Although I haven't made any progress, I may not lose to you. Watch it, the evil of time stop. Quote. After Saint Dark spoke out his own law with great chivalry, a burst of shining light burst out. Under the light, it seemed as if the time of the world had stopped. The star nobles standing on the top of the expo smiled slightly when they saw this wave was stable. Even if Yi Tian knew the law of space, he was careless and did not dodge. After being hit by the time stop, it was impossible to fight back. This time, not only can he win the Chaos Divine Mark, but he can also squeeze the wealth of Qin Yan, the thorny boy, and further prove that the genius of the Star Realm is stronger than that of the Earth. He is proud and kills 3 birds with 1 stone. As expected of the descendants of the 4 great empires, the ability to stop time is very buggy. Even the middle-level gods may suffer if they are careless. It doesn't matter for the true gods. The realm is too different. Even Saint Dark can't hurt them. Single quote. Qin Yan commented lightly. Thank you, Qin Junsho. The representative of the Star Noble Group, a paladin of the quasi-god king realm, smiled proudly. I didn't say I lost, you lost. Qin Yan curled his lips and pointed to the ring below. The Star Nobles looked over collectively and were shocked. At this moment, the battle on the ring changed dramatically. It's over, Yi Tian, I won, Holy Light Seal. Saint Dark was about to use the seal to subdue Yi Tian and end the duel. However, his hand, which had just been raised, suddenly became unable to move. Time-stopping light. Saint Dark was very familiar with this feeling, because it was the secret of his time law. It's the same type of law, how could Yi Tian? Saint Dark couldn't believe it, but at this moment, Yi Tian, whose expression was frozen before, smiled slightly. You are amazing, I need 2 moves to beat you. After that, Yi Tian swaggered to the back of Saint Dark and smashed down with a knife. Bang! Saint Dark fainted and the duel ended. Wow, wow, wow. Instantly, the whole audience exclaimed. The situation turned so quickly, and no one expected that this duel would end in this way. Good boy. Qin Yan punched him hard. This wave made a fortune. He also knows the law of time, no, the law of space. He must be the illegitimate child of some royal family who was stranded outside. Otherwise, how could he be so evil? The Star Realm nobles were more or less unable to accept this result, but they did not tear their faces or curse out loud. They were indeed magnanimous and had good manners. Although they felt sorry, they did not regret it. Generally speaking, the Star Realm nobles are a group of people who can afford to lose. The loss was a bit tragic, but I hope they will accept the loss. Don't be sad, a little gambling is just for fun, and it's nothing for you, the wealthy Star Realm. Qin Yan patted the shoulder of the Star Realm paladin next to him and comforted him cheerfully. But this smile, this laughter, didn't sound like comfort at all. You kid. The paladin rolled his eyes and cursed in his heart. The Star Realm is wealthy, but it's not a reason for you to eat the rich. But, alas, if you lose, everything you say is an excuse. Here you go. The paladin took out a God King ring, with a bet in it, threw it to Qin Yan, and then left with the Star Realm nobles without looking back. How did you do it? If you are willing to tell me, we will definitely repay you. After Yi Tian won, the geniuses who had fainted before woke up, and Saint Dark and Jimo asked Yi Tian for advice as soon as possible. When the spatial law is stronger than the opponent, find the traces of the law, and follow the traces to forcibly control and disintegrate the opponent's spatial skills. Yi Tian said lightly, looked at Saint Dark, and said, your time law is very good, I also want to see it, so I deliberately didn't dodge, and it happened that I comprehended a mystery that can affect time in the past few days, which can reproduce your time magic. Reincarnation, you have mastered a mystery of the reincarnation system. As a god who comprehended the law of time, Saint Dark naturally quickly judged what the mystery was from the information in Yi Tian's words. The power of the reincarnation system includes life and death, past, present and future. The power of reincarnation and the power of time and space are connected in many ways. It's not unfair for me to lose. Quote, Saint Dark felt that he had lost this time. Not only did he lose the duel, but he also had someone steal his time magic. He even had to give a gift to thank him for solving his doubts. 0. But it was worth it. Jimo felt that he had not lost this time. At least he had seen a new skill and saw the genius of the earth, a real genius. The one in the Star Realm was a step behind. If you have nothing to do, I'll leave first. Yi Tian said lightly. The banquet is not over yet. Zhou Kang tried to keep him. Although they lost to Yi Tian, they were convinced, and Yi Tian's talent was enough to make them admire him, so they wanted to make friends. If you can't beat him, just join him. I don't really like to attend this kind of banquet. I just happened to find Beibao Chamber of Commerce for something. Yi Tian smiled slightly and turned to leave. As for the bet, Qin Yan must have taken it. In this case, we won't keep you. Quote, Zhou Kang, Jimo, Saint Dark and others bowed and saw him off, which was a respect for the strong. After Yi Tian walked out of the dual space of the expo, he walked towards the organizer, but he saw a very strange person along the way. He couldn't tell whether it was a man or a woman at first glance. He was wrapped in a black robe and exuded a chaotic aura, which blocked Yi Tian's sight and soul perception like a mist. He was very heroic between his eyebrows, but it gave him a feeling of meeting the eldest princess. Very special. Unfortunately, Yi Tian didn't have time to use the system to check the attributes of this person, and this person disappeared without a trace. Not an earthling, from the Star Realm. The chaotic aura blocked his true identity, but it should be a woman. Quote, Yi Tian has the chaotic divine pattern, which causes him to smell the aura of people who are blocked by the chaotic aura even if he can't see the other person's appearance clearly. It is a trace of fairy air, very fragrant. It feels a bit familiar. Who could it be? Forget it. Yi Tian could not sense the other party's malice, and the other party only looked at him and left, presumably not wanting him to find out. After a pause, Yi Tian turned and walked into the organizer's rest loft. After entering the loft, Yi Tian did not say anything, and under the guidance of a young lady, he entered the high-rise reception hall. The person who received Yi Tian was a beautiful woman wearing a black veil and a black gauze skirt, with a mysterious and luxurious temperament. She seemed to be about the same age as Yi Tian, but her temperament was not like that of a young person, and her words were shocking. Mr. Yi, I am the director of the Shenzhou branch of the Beibao Chamber of Commerce. Are you here for the matter of the underworld altar? While speaking, the woman also handed a business card to Yi Tian, and Yi Tian saw that her name was Yi Feifei. It's a very unique name, but Yi Tian is more curious now. You know there's something wrong with the altar of the underworld. To be honest, I just found out about 7802. Seeing Yi Tian's slightly surprised look, Yi Feifei's thin lips under her veil flashed a cunning arc. Haha, this woman is interesting. Yi Tian understood. She just knew that Yi Tian had come to Beibao Chamber of Commerce on purpose this time, and what Yi Tian had just said on the stage. But she immediately browsed the transaction between Yi Tian and Beibao Pavilion, and then judged the problem, and got the answer through the test just now. That's why there's something wrong with the altar of the underworld, it's from their products, and Yi Tian is here to defend his rights. She has quick wit, meticulous mind, ice-cold intelligence, and is very beautiful. No wonder she is the branch manager of Shenzhou. If Yi Tian were the top management, she would have chosen her. She has a good image, is smart, and has strong ability to do things. The altar of the underworld can affect people's will, but it was eliminated by me. But if it were someone else, you know what the result would be. What are you going to do? Yi Tian said lightly. I can make the decision and give Mr. Yi a satisfactory compensation. I will definitely send it to you before the selection 3 days later. Yi Feifei did not shirk responsibility, nor did she suspect that Yi Tian was lying. Instead, she decisively agreed to the compensation, so that Yi Tian did not use the lines he had thought of. I thought it would take some time, but I didn't expect that talking to smart people would be straightforward. Very good. Yi Tian stood up calmly, said a few simple polite words, and walked out of the hall. Miss, how do you know that what he said is true? After Yi Tian left, a shadowy female assassin appeared behind Yi Feifei. She was a little confused. What if Yi Tian lied? Yi Feifei smiled lightly. The first genius of Shenzhou, there is no need to use such lies to deceive us. Do you know that he just 10 billion yuan divine crystals, and the underworld altar is just a commodity worth millions of divine crystals? Quote. The shadow female assassin took a breath of cold air, and was completely stunned. 10 billion divine crystals, he is just a high school student. Besides, with his talent, even if he really came to blackmail, the old guys in the Chamber of Commerce would be happy to see it happen. This boy will definitely achieve extraordinary success in the future. Yi Feifei sighed in her heart. It would be great if she could use such a genius. The matter is done, I have been waiting here for a long time. After leaving the door of the expo, Qin Yan saw Yi Tian's face full of smiles, and waited for Yi Tian very excitedly, and his attitude was very respectful. This wave made a lot of money. Old Qin, don't be so disgusting. Yi Tian looked at Qin Yan's appearance that money is your father, and really couldn't tell that this man is also a filial son. Of course, it's not his fault that he has a good attitude. This is the age of gods. Resources are more important than anything else. It's amazing that Qin Yan can keep his original intention. Haha, okay, let's talk about it when we get back. Quote. When you come here, you need to show your face, but when you go back, you don't need to worry so much. Qin Yan summoned the Sun Chariot and took Yi Tian back to the Flame Realm. Then, they started to divide the accounts. This time I 100,000 yuan abyss stones and 1 million kinds of heaven and earth treasures. As for the God King ring, it was won by your time gem, so I don't want it, but I want 90,000 abyss stones. Qin Yan said after dividing the treasures. Yi Tian was very satisfied with this division. The 1 million kinds of heaven and earth treasures were all bets from true gods and quasi-god kings, which could allow Yi Tian's divine domain to evolve again, and convert it into divine crystals. They would be much more than the 10 billion divine crystals in the future. Yi Tian was not sure how to calculate the value of these heaven and earth treasures, and it was estimated that the Beibao Chamber of Commerce could figure it out. By the way, what is the abyss stone? You don't even want the God King ring? Yi Tian was a little surprised. Qin Yan didn't even have the God King ring, a king-grade artifact, but he gave it to him. The gods I created and I all fight with divine fire. Divine weapons are not as important as our own strength. Quote. Qin Yan said lightly. The God King ring is just the icing on the cake for him, but the Abyss Stone is different. The Abyss Stone is a superior substitute for the God Crystal Stone. It comes from the void battlefield and can absorb huge energy from the void to improve cultivation. But these energies are actually nothing to the God King. The key is that the Abyss Stone can accelerate people's comprehension of the law. With our current realm, comprehending higher laws is the most important. In fact, when you reach the realm of true gods, the energy of the God Crystal Stone is very small. What is really useful is the divinity in the God Crystal Stone, but the divinity contained in the God Crystal Stone is too thin for us. The amount required for cultivation is very large, so their value is incomparable to the Abyss Stone, just like gold and spirit stones. Qin Yan explained. It was the first time that Yi Tian knew that the God Crystal Stone was useless for the cultivation of the true God. It could only increase the divinity, but not much divine power. It's normal to think about it. The God King can destroy a galaxy with a casual blow. How can the true God also have the power of the quasi-emperor? Too much energy is required. It cannot be compensated by the energy of the God Crystal Stone. The God Crystal Stones needed to activate the Emperor weapon and the King-grade artifact are all calculated in billions. How many billions are needed for normal cultivation? Only higher-level Abyss Stones can be used. However, it is more accurate to say that God Crystal Stones and Abyss Stones are Spirit Stones and Immortal Stones. Yi Tian corrected. After all, God Crystal Stones are still useful. That's right. I occasionally use God Crystal Stones in my cultivation now. Divinity is irreplaceable for us gods. Qin Yan nodded. In that case, I won't take what others have received. Yi Tian took the God King ring and left 90% of the Abyss Stones to Qin Yan. They each took what they needed. In fact, Yi Tian still made a profit. Because he just asked the system, the reincarnation points can be directly converted into God Crystal Stones and Abyss Stones. 100 reincarnation points equals 1 Abyss Stone. And how many reincarnation points can a God King ring exchange for? If it is auctioned in the reincarnation space, it will be at least 100 million. Good boy, you are so happy. As an elder, I have to give you a gift in return. Qin Yan took out a scroll and several space rings from his arms. The rings were engraved with the 5 colors of the law of thunder, fire, wood, life, and death. Yi Tian was a little confused. What was Qin Yan going to do? Don't think too much. Just think of it as a reward for celebrating your first place in the Tianzhou selection competition in advance. You are a member of our Yangcheng. As a garrison, I should reward you. And I have something I want to get rid of. Please help me do it. At this point, Qin Shangguang flashed a terror and hatred. Yi Tian was slightly stunned and roughly guessed the cause and effect. Qin Yan wanted to avenge his dead comrades. Who is your enemy? Yi Tian said directly, which was considered an agreement. None of the supreme beings in the Zetian universe are good people. At most, they will not help each other during the dark turmoil. It doesn't matter who they kill. And it's impossible not to kill them. If Yi Tian wants to prove the Tao Emperor, he will inevitably be targeted. Yi Tian made a profit from this deal, but Qin Yan definitely didn't think so. Okay, just agree. The specific supreme being of the enemy is in my scroll. I don't ask you to kill them all. First, you have to protect yourself, and then slowly settle the accounts. One Qin Yan said, and began to introduce the treasures he took out. This scroll is a simplified version of my cultivation method. The original version is too dangerous and not suitable for you. The cultivation method I cultivate is very special. Even if you obtain the royal family's divine emperor cultivation method after this selection, it can still give you some help. These 5 rings contain all my unique skills and divine domain development experience. You can learn and pass them on to the geniuses of your divine domain race. The most important thing is these 5 rings. Each of them seals a kind of law power of mine. How to combine them can match my personal combat power, but it requires a large number of divine crystals to maintain. The divine crystals inside are enough to be used 5 times. You will have to replenish the divine crystals later. Qin Yan's sincerity is very great. After all, he asked Yi Tian to kill the supreme of the same level as him, but the value is still beyond Yi Tian's imagination. Because the cultivation method Qin Yan cultivates can be cultivated to the realm before the Divine Emperor. It is the highest level cultivation method Yi Tian has obtained so far. Yi Tian didn't care about the cultivation method before, because the royal family would give him the first half of the scroll, but the subsequent cultivation method would have to come back. But with Qin Yan's simplified skills, Yi Tian will not be limited by the royal family. Of course, the royal family can't limit him. Okay, I'll do this for you, and I'll try to catch him alive when the time comes. Yi Tian took the gift from Qin Yan without hesitation and said lightly, "You kid, you are so arrogant, that's a strong man as strong as me." Qin Yan said with some relief and some laughter. Within a year, there will be results. Yi Tian is still so confident, invincible by Shin. The most important thing is that he has enough trump cards in his hand, the godhood of the God King and God Emperor, as well as various God King and God Emperor's divine weapons, temples, props, and the desperate self-destructing godhood, which can even take away the God King in one wave. He also has the mysterious command spell given by the eldest princess. There is the second divine domain of the reincarnation space, and unlimited resurrection points. There are also time gems, cosmic magic cubes, mind gems, and the Titan Giant God card of the Heavenly Chain and the Titan Legion. Even if he were to meet the Supreme Emperor now, he would have many ways to escape. Now with Qin Yan's ring, Yi Tian felt that if it was a one-on-one fight, with all his trump cards revealed, even if he didn't self-destruct his godhood, he could fight off a Supreme. After all, the Supremes in Zishan were not strong enough and had limited lifespans, so they couldn't afford a war of attrition. In a normal one-on-one fight, Qin Yan could definitely win those Supremes, but there was really no way he could be beaten by dozens of Supremes. Then wait for your good news. Qin Yan smiled. He had a feeling that when Yi Tian came back, he would probably be even stronger than him who had received the royal award. He suddenly felt like the waves behind him were pushing the waves ahead. This time the harvest is too great. After digesting this harvest, my strength will probably be greatly improved. After Yi Tian returned home, he found that the resources in his hands were enough to tempt a God King. Because of the seal of the gods, plus the royal family and Qin Yan, no one dared to attack him here. But money can make people's hearts move. In the Tianzhou selection competition 3 days later, I'm afraid he will be beaten up in the true sense. And he will be the kind of person who will be attacked by all the geniuses. The selection competition will definitely test the battle of the God realm. I can't directly fuse the Godhead now. The 2 Godheads in my body are too advanced. Once they are fused, they will not be able to suppress my realm and surpass the 1-star gods. Yi Tian himself can't fuse the Godhead now, so there is only one way: let his subordinate gods fuse the Godhead, and the subordinate gods gain the power of the Godhead, which means that he also controls that power. But after giving it to the subordinate gods, it will take a long time for Yi Tian to condense the Godhead again. Because after having the Godhead, the subordinate gods can even set up their own business and become an independent individual. It is extremely rare that no god is willing to give the subordinate gods the Godhead, even if it is a partner. This requires absolute loyalty, otherwise it is possible to turn the tables. I'm not worried, because there is still a contract in the reincarnation space, and I can't rebel. But who should I choose? Tsunade is not here, Natasha. No. Maybe there are better choices, and even the Godhead doesn't need to be separated from my body. Yi Tian smiled slightly and thought of a better way to use the power of the Godhead. Therefore, Yi Tian temporarily returned to the reincarnation space that night, and then signed a contract with a pet in the underworld of the God realm in the reincarnation space. In the next 3 days, Yi Tian has been expanding the reincarnation space, increasing the power of Konoha ninjas such as Slime and Namikaze Minato, and under the control of coercion, inducement and the mind gem, Yi Tian signed a contract with the reincarnation captives of the Justice Legion. Those reincarnations also have a contract with the Justice Legion. They cannot sell the intelligence of the Justice Legion. If they want to leave the Legion, they need to apply and be reviewed, but the content of this contract has nothing to do with the content of Yi Tian's contract. Because Yi Tian's contract does not require them to betray the Justice Legion, nor does it require them to reveal any information about the Justice Legion. It is a contract that completely bypasses the Justice Legion. It is just that this contract cannot be said in front of the Justice Legion, and Etienne's information cannot be revealed in any form. With the addition of this group of reincarnations, plus the improvement of the original God Realm race, Etienne is confident that he can beat all opponents in this Tianzhou selection. But, on the day of the selection, the fact was a little unexpected to Etienne, that is, the location of the selection was actually in the void battlefield. It seems that the selection mode is not a battle between geniuses. Etienne thought silently after boarding the battleship heading to the void battlefield. Etienne, right, I'm Zhang Yida. On the warship, a one-star college student walked towards Etienne with a kind and sunny smile. Do you know me? Etienne said lightly. The implication was, are we familiar with each other? Hee, now in Shenzhou, no, it's the Earth, and even the Star Realm, who doesn't know you? Zhang Yida did not hide his envy and exclaimed. Etienne was slightly speechless. This guy is not smart. He dared to talk to him when he was not familiar with him. It's okay, I'll leave first. Wait, I'm Zhang Wei's nephew. Zhang Yida saw Etienne was leaving and couldn't help shouting. Zhang Wei, class teacher. Etienne raised his eyebrows. Although Zhang Wei did not help him when he was cheated, he applied for a scholarship for him and was even willing to lend him money to buy a new initial race card, but was warned by some wealthy families in Yangcheng. Those families just want geniuses like Etienne to become their slaves and don't want anyone to help Etienne. But with Etienne's strong rise, those families dared not say a word, and they all kept a low profile and pretended to be dead. Etienne has no time to argue with them now, not that he has forgotten this hatred. When he returns from the Zetian universe, it will be the day of the destruction of those families. Hee, I came to you for nothing, just 3 things. Zhang Yida laughed. 3 things are nothing. Etienne complained in his heart, this guy is unreliable, is he really the nephew of teacher Zhang Wei? Although Zhang Wei is a bit old-fashioned, he still has some talent. He retired to become a teacher after being injured in the void battlefield. It is said that he was backstabbed by his teammates because of jealousy, but unfortunately there is no evidence, and the other party has a background, and Zhang Wei is not a genius, so the matter is left unresolved. First, I want to see you, a great genius. You are my idol now, Junior. Hee. Second, Your Highness Yi Fei asked me to apologize to you. Third, I want to remind you that Lin Li's gang will ambush you after you enter the assessment site of the void battlefield. Zhang Yida said, handing Etienne a classical and elegant dark magic book. Etienne took the black magic book, and the magic book immediately dissipated into nothingness, turning into a spiritual mark and escaping into his sea of consciousness. Underworld Magic Library. It records countless kinds of underworld magic. Not all dark magic books also includes the memories of magicians and fallen gods of magic who died in a certain world from ancient times to the present. And it is also a soul weapon that can protect Etienne's soul. With the Mind Scepter, no one can control Etienne's mind. Of course, there is system protection. Etienne is actually not worried about being controlled by the mind. The system didn't tell him at the beginning, and only told him after getting the Mind Scepter. He gave the Iron Man nano suit he made before entering the Marvel dungeon to Natasha before the opening. Now there is an extra library. But it is not bad, Horcruxes can at least nourish the soul and boost the spirit of the people. Very precious, I received her sincerity. Etienne nodded. In terms of value, this underworld magic library is much better than the underworld altar. That's good. If I mess up this, I will definitely be fired by her. I finally saved my salary this month. Zhang Yida patted his chest and smiled like a fool. Etienne frowned slightly. Why did Yi Feiji let such an employee deliver things for him? No, does Beibao Chamber of Commerce recruit only weird people? Forget it, what happens to Beibao Chamber of Commerce has nothing to do with him. Shaking his head, Etienne asked, where are Lin Li and the others planning to ambush me? Do you know where the test location is? It's at the entrance of the void battlefield. The void battlefield is so vast that even the God Emperor doesn't know the end, but there are only 5 entrances discovered so far. The test location is at the edge of the battlefield entrance, which belongs to the sphere of influence of our universe. It can be said to be our test field. After a pause, Zhang Yida continued to explain. The test field is called a test field, but it is actually a plain sea. I don't know how big it is or how many planes it has. However, the time and space nodes currently established are connected to relatively weak planes or small worlds. Of course, don't underestimate the small world. There was once a god who was killed by a mediocre bald man in a weak world with one punch, and even the god's domain was shattered. The bald man who blasted the star with one punch had at least medium divine power. What happened afterwards? Yi Tian raised his eyebrows and asked. That bald guy should be Saitama, the one in One Punch Man. I remember there is this copy in the reincarnation space. Afterwards. What afterward? Do you mean the small world or the bald guy? But it's the same. There are so many powerful people in that small world, and there must be many gods interested in it. Even the true gods have been dispatched, but the small world suddenly disappeared, as if the space-time coordinates were blocked, and it has not been found yet. Zhang Yida said. Suddenly disappeared. Yi Tian was stunned. Could it be related to the reincarnation space? Oh, by the way, when I was a freshman, I read a history book in the school library. A giant in the God Lord realm speculated that the plane C in the void battlefield was not stable. From time to time, a group of planes in it would disappear, perish, and then another group would be born, as if it was a reincarnation. Seeing that Haonuo Zhao Yi Tian was so curious about the disappeared small world, Zhang Yida immediately showed off his knowledge. I understand, thank you. Quote, Yi Tian nodded lightly, and his heart was slightly shocked. It was really the reincarnation space. The copy of the reincarnation space may come from the plane C of the void battlefield. Then, the reincarnation of all people versus the era of gods is really possible. It's just that the reincarnators have never encountered gods in the past. No, maybe they have met, but it is not certain that they don't know each other's identity. This situation is really possible, and the probability is not small. Thinking of this, Yi Tian suddenly had an idea in his mind. Sometimes he can use the information gap between the two sides to achieve his goal. The reincarnation copies are protected by the reincarnation space, which shields the spatial coordinates. However, as a reincarnator, Yi Tian is also a person from the God universe, so he can completely locate the copy coordinates from the God universe. You can use the gods of the God universe to attack some extremely difficult copies. You can also use the reincarnations in the copy to annihilate the hostile gods who enter the copy. Yi Tian can even use the SS World Legion card to attack a copy world first, and when the gods come to attack, he can kill them with the home advantage. How does the plane war in the void battlefield proceed? Yi Tian looked at Zhang Yida and asked. Hey, you are a genius. You grasped the key points of the test so quickly. The examiner will explain it to you later, but it doesn't hurt to tell you now. Zhang Yida smiled and said, the plane war is carried out in different modes according to the plane level and the world level. Basically, it depends on the race of the god realm, because the gods will be excluded by the will of the plane and the laws of the world. The gods need to fight against the potential will or laws of the plane. It is difficult for the gods to intervene in the plane war. They can only add buffs like the god realm war. This is not the biggest limitation. The real problem is that some planes are very weak, but there are very strong monsters in them. When the god's domain is launched to attack the plane, the opponent will take the initiative, and even shatter the god's domain and die directly. Quote, at the same time, there are 5 major camps in the void battlefield: gods, evil demons, foreign gods, old gods, and void. We are the gods. The evil demons from outside the domain that are hostile to us are the evil demons. The arbitrary foreign gods and old gods compete with us the most, and there are void beasts covering the entire void battlefield. There are actually 5 camps: gods, evil demons, foreign gods, old gods, and void. Yi Tian did not expect the situation in the void battlefield to be so complicated and severe. Except for himself, there are enemies everywhere. But fortunately, the enemies are also fighting on their own, and it is impossible to unite and achieve a balance. And in the void battlefield, if you don't have the characteristics of immortality, you can't withstand the wear and tear of the void law of the void battlefield, so the strength of the divine domain is crucial to the void war. You have to be careful, you are not even a god now. After selecting the plane to attack in the void battlefield, if you can't solve it in a short time, then you are likely to be worn out by the void law and fall. Even the realm of the gods will fall because of the attack timeout. Zhang Yida warned. Can true gods fall? Isn't the void battlefield a race of life and death? Yi Tian didn't expect the void battlefield to be so weird. After becoming a primary god, the fire of faith in the kingdom of God will not be extinguished, and the god will not die. Medium divine power, even without the power of faith, can also live forever. True gods are as long-lived as the sky. Even in the last days, they can live forever until the end of time. Even true gods can't attack for too long. The void battlefield is too weird. A race of life and death. Junior's summary is quite appropriate, haha. However, true gods generally will not fall because of the timeout of the attack, unless the attack has not taken the plane for hundreds of years, so you must be very careful when choosing a plane. If it exceeds the scope of your ability or is in a stalemate, you will be in a dilemma. Zhang Yida reminded. Can't you withdraw directly? Yi Tian said. The effect of power is mutual. When you encounter a plane will of equal strength, when you want to erode it, it will want to devour you to strengthen itself. What's more, if you let the gods escape, only death will be waiting for it. It will definitely fight harder than the gods. Not all planes will suddenly lose their coordinates. You can't be too greedy as a human or a god. It is best to choose a target smaller than your own divine race. Zhang Yida sighed with some vicissitudes. His expression obviously saw many seniors, juniors and classmates fall in the void battlefield because of greed. Thank you, senior. Yi Tian nodded. He was being polite before, but now he really thanked Zhang Yida for solving many puzzles in the void battlefield for him. You're welcome. Hehe, the examiner will tell you later. This is information that all college students at the University of Gods know. Zhang Yida smiled, and then said with a mean smile, well, Junior, can I get an autograph? If I have your autograph, maybe I can get a date with the goddess senior sister I dream of. Quote. Get lost, Yi Tian said, and distanced himself from this funny guy without looking back. Ah, why did you refuse? Where's the thank you? Quote. Zhang Yida was a little puzzled. He thought Yi Tian would give him an autograph. His brain circuit was indeed a little abnormal. The gods and geniuses around him distanced themselves from Zhang Yida, and even secretly complained, he is already a senior and only a one-star god, how did he get to that level? This kind of idiot can also participate in the Tianzhou selection. I'm kidding. Zhang Yida didn't care about the eyes around him, and curled his lips in his heart. They are jealous of me. Yeah, that must be the case. That senior has a problem with his brain. After Yi Tian walked to the corner of the battleship, he thought secretly. He could see that Zhang Yida was not pretending to be stupid, but was really a little stupid from time to time, which could also be called honest. Zhang Yida, he once merged the will of a plane when he was conquering a certain plane. A young man in a green robe with a rather elegant demeanor came over and said. Yi Tian was startled and found that the visitor was an acquaintance. Lin Tianyi, his defeated opponent. Oh, you said that Zhang Yida's brain problem was due to a certain plane will. It was the first time that Yi Tian heard that the plane will could affect the consciousness of gods, but he remembered the will of Hades in his underworld altar. If Hades will could do it, why couldn't the plane will do it? Yes and no. Zhang Yida's personality was carefree, and the plane will was almost perfectly matched with his nature. After the fusion, it just magnified this attribute, which would become like this. Lin Tianyi's face was a little strange when he said this, because it was the same whether he said it or not. In the final analysis, he was just a funny guy. Yi Tian's face was slightly pulled, and he didn't know how to evaluate that funny guy senior. What about you? What do you want to see me for? Yi Tian asked instead. I want to redeem the Sword Emperor tomb left by our ancestors. It is very important to our Lin family, and we will not let you suffer any loss. 100 billion god crystals plus 100,000 abyss stones plus a god emperor inheritance. You can mention the specific details and we can discuss. The Lin family will never be your enemy in the future. After the selection competition is over, you can consider it. Lin Tianyi finished his conditions, bowed and left. Yi Tian was slightly stunned. This man did things decisively, and did not say anything threatening. He was not a playboy like Zhao Xiaorui. This made him unable to even say no. Although he was defeated, his quality is quite high. Yi Tian commented lightly. The value of a complete Sword Emperor tomb is not comparable to 100,000 abyss stones and 100 billion god crystals, but the incomplete Sword Emperor tomb is not necessarily much more valuable than 100,000 abyss stones, let alone a god emperor inheritance. There are Lin family inheritance and secrets in it. He. Quote, Yi Tian smiled and said that he would trade with him after he cracked the secret. The initiative was in his hands. Soon, the Shenzhou warship arrived at the Void battlefield and docked at the periphery of the Void battlefield. After that, the vague fairy shadow of the eldest princess appeared on the big screen, and the selection competition officially opened. The selection competition was divided into 3 rounds. The first round was a personal battle. Yes, it was not a battle in the god's domain, nor was it the hunting plane mentioned by Zhang Yida, but a personal battle. It was just that it was fought in the universe void of the Void battlefield, with a time limit. Even if the strength was equal, whoever couldn't hold on first would lose. However, Yi Tian didn't have to participate in the competition and directly locked the first place. Some people had opinions, such as the geniuses from the other 4 empires. They had never lost to Yi Tian, so they were naturally dissatisfied. But on the Phantom, Princess Yin said something with murderous intent. This palace said that he is the strongest, whoever agrees and whoever disagrees. The whole audience was silent in an instant. The geniuses of the 4 empires didn't dare to say a word, not even what was in their hearts. Just like that, Yi Tian quietly skipped the first round of the competition. The purpose of the first round of the competition is to eliminate those gods whose personal strength is too weak. The god universe does not value personal strength, as long as they will not be killed by the opponent in seconds. But the Zetian universe is different. The Zetian universe mainly relies on personal strength, and because the living matter on the body is too thick, the gods dare not open the divine domain unless it is absolutely necessary. Even the vitality of the 1-star gods is a great tonic for those supreme beings. So, the first round of the competition ended like this. There are 10 million geniuses participating in the selection of the 5 major empires, hundreds of kingdoms and the star realm. It is really a lot. Of course, many of them are just runners-up and try their luck. In the end, only 100,000 people survived the first round. Too weak. Quote, Yi Tian looked a bit bored. None of the 9 people in the top 10, except him, could defeat him in a single blow. The geniuses who were eliminated should really reflect on themselves. With such personal strength, entering the Zetian universe is really just an experience treasure or a tonic. In terms of personal strength, the eliminated geniuses probably can't even beat the true disciples of some small sects, let alone the sons and daughters of the saints of the big holy places. However, if they can use the divine domain, the sons and daughters of the saints of the big holy places may not be able to beat them. The imbalance in subjects is a bit serious. Quote, Yi Tian shook his head, not realizing that he was seriously biased in one subject. Because the examination room was set up with time rules, the first round of selection ended in one morning. The second round of selection, plane hunting. The passing line is to successfully hunt a plane. The more planes you hunt, the higher the value and the higher the points. But only the top 1,000 will be selected. The planes were arranged in advance, but the void beasts around were not dealt with. This test is about the survival ability, strategy, wisdom, luck, etc. of the genius in a dangerous but treasured environment. It is obviously a pre-test for the geniuses to participate in the cave treasure hunt after entering Zetian. This is always inevitable in the fantasy world. Only 1,000 people were left in the second round. It is estimated that no more than 100 geniuses will enter the Zetian universe in the end. Single quote. Yi Tian dragged his chin and thought about it. 100 people, not too many, not too few. But strictly speaking, because there are so many sons and grandsons of the gods and emperors in the universe of gods, there are many geniuses with the appearance of emperors, far more than 100 people. This number should be a test. But on second thought, it doesn't matter whether the number is large or not, just one person is enough. In the Zetian universe, you must have this kind of invincible belief. Yi Tian, Examination Room 95. At this moment, Yi Tian's name was called out. 100,000 people were arranged in 100 examination rooms, with 1,000 people in each examination room. But when he walked into the examination room, he paused when he heard a name. Linla, Examination Room 95. Linla, What a coincidence. Yi Tian smiled slightly, very sunny, but the examiner at the door felt a little cold, the kind of cold that could kill people. It's time for revenge. Entrance to the void battlefield, the Royal Immortal Boat. Your Highness, Linla and the others have been arranged clearly. The maid under her command reported. The eldest princess nodded lightly, her eyes were indifferent. Aside, Mu Qinger complained in her heart, and is really a devil who protects her calf and husband. Linla and his friends will definitely not make it through the second round. In addition to Linla, there are also Lin Li's good friends, Zhao Xiaorui's brother Zhao Tianrui, and the geniuses of the families who once wanted to force Yi Tian to be a slave in the examination room. No. 95. These people are destined to be on the opposite side of Yi Tian, so just get rid of them all at once and for all. Qinger, follow me into the secret realm to wait for Yi Tian. The eldest princess said lightly after a moment of silence. Ah, yes, Mu Qinger said excitedly. Finally, I can see the princess in the secret realm, the girl of destiny. Examination room number 95 of the void battlefield. Yi Tian strolled in the void space full of laws. In this battlefield that could wipe out the life of gods, he still had no fear or tension. Instead, he walked on flat ground, very casually. As this Yi Tian, he is indeed a person who controls the laws of space. He really has a great advantage in controlling the laws of time and space in the void battlefield. The hundreds of one-star gods such as Linla behind him wrapped themselves with divine power to fly normally in the void battlefield. Compared with Yi Tian's calmness, they looked a little embarrassed. So what if he controls the laws of space? He is only a demigod after all. When he starts plane hunting, these personal abilities will not be able to be used. At that time, we will destroy his race in the divine domain and rob all his treasures. Everything he has will belong to us. Quote. Linla looked at Yi Tian's back, his eyes were red with jealousy. If it weren't for Yi Tian, he would be the first genius in Yangcheng. Everything was because Yi Tian was too outstanding, which led to his scholarship being deducted. It was all Yi Tian's fault. Yes, Yi Tian seems to have 10 billion yuan divine crystals from the people in the star realm. Single quote. 10 billion divine crystals, even if divided into 100 parts, are enough for us to cultivate to the peak of the middle-level god, and even breaking through to the true god is not impossible. Yi Tian is too arrogant, and he is arbitrary. If he asks to form a team, the top 100 gods in this examination room are willing to listen to him. The gods around Linla are all his acquaintances, or interest communities, and some have no grudges against Yi Tian, but are attracted by the divine crystals. Money moves people's hearts, 10 billion divine crystals, this group of people are drooling with envy. The divine crystal is not a big deal, the key is not to let Yi Tian live, otherwise our family will be finished. Unlike Linla and other civilian geniuses, the leading geniuses, especially Zhao Xiaorui's brother Zhao Tianrui, said solemnly. Zhao Tianrui's strength is the strongest here, and his family background is also good. Both his parents are middle-level gods, and he saved a true god in his early years. That true god is now a quasi-god king, so he has a lot of say among the people here. Yes, for our family. Now Yi Tian has the protection of the guards and the favor of the royal family. This is our only chance to kill him. If you don't succeed, you will die. Quote. The geniuses of the other big families, their parents are also the peak middle-level gods of Yangcheng, and they all have true gods as backers, and even one or two have quasi-god kings as backers. As for the background of the god king, there is no such thing, because the god king realm can open up a kingdom in the star world, and there is no shortage of genius slaves. Those families can get along well with the god king, and they don't need or disdain such things. Okay, everyone has the same interests. Today, our plan to kill the sky will definitely succeed, but everyone listen to me first. Linla said at this time, I know Yi Tian's character very well. On the surface, he is unrestrained, frivolous and arrogant, confident and invincible, and only believes in strength without wisdom, but in fact, it is not the case. Yi Tian has been cautious all his life, does not trust others easily, and is as steady as an old dog. He is not the kind of genius who pretends to be brainless. It took me several years to gain his trust, and in the end, I spent a lot of effort to deceive him, and I succeeded with a very accurate timing. Quote. Then what? Quote. Zhao Tianrui frowned. Lin Le must have something to say for praising Yi Tian like this. Then, according to my analysis of him, the plane he chose must be one that he can solve quickly and secretly. Lin Le said, taking out the plane distribution map of the examination room and pointing to several planes that meet Yi Tian's goals, which happen to be in the same starry sky. You want us to lurk in those planes in advance, and suddenly attack when he is attacking the plane, catching him off guard. Zhao Tianrui understood it all at once. Good idea, let's do it this way. He can never think of it. We will hide in the plane he wants to attack. But we need a strategy to enter that plane. There is no other way. We can only use that method. The plane protection contract, but if the plane is lost, we will be dead. If we win, we can also get the gift of the plane. We must win. If Yi Tian survives, do you think he will let us go? Let's do it. After discussing, the geniuses decided to ambush Yi Tian with a secret method. To use that secret method, you need to sign a contract with the plane, a life and death contract. So that you can enter the plane without damage and temporarily bind to the will of the plane, and then use their divine race to help the plane resist foreign enemies. It is a method used by the gods to fight against the old gods. In fact, the old gods often use this method to trick them. Now, they are planning to use this method on their own people. This is a method that the royal family prohibits from using against gods in the same camp. Now they are also considered, and they will do everything they can. Even if Yi Tian killed them, he was standing on the highest moral ground, and no one dared to say he was wrong. Interesting, a bunch of idiots still want to ambush me. Lin Le and others had never expected that after Yi Tian disappeared from their sight, he secretly summoned a shadow clone to escape into the void, followed Lin Le, and knew everything about Lin Le and his plans. The shadow clone formed a seal and summoned another clone. After informing the clone of the information, the clone dissipated and returned to the mind of the original body with the information memory. Lin Le really knows me very well. I am as steady as an old dog when doing things. Yi Tian smiled coldly. If you want to ambush me in those planes, then I will give you a huge surprise and let you see the power of the reincarnation. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.